All right, I think we're starting to get it together. Are you there? Is everybody in? Is everybody in? All right, we're almost there. Hit that like, share the show. One more. Oh my God, there's so much stuff to cover. Good Lord. All right, almost there. Swear to God. I can always count on my mic being off. When I transfer screens, but which is probably good because right before I walked out, I was doing the urination. I had to go, no, had to run and use the loo. Here's the thing I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my own mute button. I love when how long this also allows me to check exactly how long the delay is on the stream from what I'm actually saying to how long it gets to you. So apparently, I will be waiting for answers to my questions to you about 3 minutes. Anyways, I was saying, I had issues logging in on like Facebook so we could be streaming on there. I hope you're happy, Facebook folks, because this is entirely so that I could get you guys back in here in this mix because it was being a bit of a dick. And so I worked on it, and I had to go to another computer and log in over there and do all this ridiculousness. And it's just, anyways. Point being, you don't need to know this. This is just the struggles of a one-man show. And one of these days, I'm going to have an enormous staff of bots to help me do this as a production team of bots. Runs everything so I can just spend my time thinking and talking, which is really the gig. Now, lots to show you today and lots to talk about. And it's nice to see everybody catching up to shit I was talking about days, weeks, months ago, if not yesterday. The rash story has grown almost as fast as the rash itself. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, bless you. Congratulations, you're living the magic life because you managed to avoid all the conversations of whatever the fuck that thing is crawling up the back of Trump's neck. um, Doc Adams says shingles. Yeah, that's what like. I think that's where a lot of people are going. I would argue, and I often do, just in general. I would argue that one of the things that brings on shingles, besides having the chickenpox virus running around in your system and all that kind of stuff, and having age and proclivity towards it. You know what? And I bet people in the chat will know one of the things that makes it the hurt part is having it in there, right? How you're supposed to be rich with Israel money according to some people. I know. You'd think, right? Shouldn't I be aren't I a shill for the deep state or something at this point? And for free. Anyways, stress. There you go. Corey said it, and so did Nina said it. Stress. Exactly. Now, this is something that I think by and large, Trump is fairly new to. Because I got to tell you, one thing about sociopaths, not a lot of serial killers get shingles. I'm just gonna go out there because they might have it, but they probably get vaccinated because they're very methodical people, or they'd be just mass shooters, I suppose. I don't know. It's a whole career path I have no interest in. But sociopaths do not interpret stressful situations the way we do, and they in a lot of situations they can't even understand why other people would be stressed. And so I got to tell you, and I don't think it's Iran. I don't think it's the decision to go to war and send our soldiers into harm's way. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he suddenly had a clap of conscience and it just shut, and he's like, oh my God, I feel human. What is this? Like season 3 of Resident Alien. I'm talking about the Epstein files meets having to read prompters when people tell you things are important. That kind of stress. You're going to look like an asshole. And again, I've said it many times and I hate repeating myself, but until this asshole is gone, we're just going to be running this fucking Groundhog Day of notes. But he can't feel shame, but he can be embarrassed. And embarrassment is a very heavy, manipulation point for him. Both when, people like Susie Wiles, more than likely, one of the ways that she controls him or herds him in one direction is through the fear of embarrassment. You don't want to look bad, sir. I mean, they'll say, they'll say all this stuff about you if you don't do that. You can go out and you can nip this in the bud. They won't have a chance, right? Embarrassment. And embarrassment is the closest thing to shame-based stress that he feels. And also, I would like to say that I stick by my theory that when he's reading a teleprompter, there's only one word at a time on the screen. Because he refuses to wear fucking glasses and he needs them, so they blow the fucking things up. So he reads like a robot because he doesn't, and the sentences don't tie together because he's not seeing complete sentences going up the teleprompter. He's saying like, we're going to make America great again, right? Like that, I swear to God, that's what's happening. And I'm going to stand by that until proven otherwise. Now, obviously, there is a lot of, shall I say, pardon my my German, but there's a lot of rigmarole going on in maggot country. They're not happy. They're very upset about this whole thing. Half of them are on one side of it. Half of them are on the other. There's this division. I can't quite tell. There's a whole group of Glenn Becky style guys who are just balancing butthole first on fence posts going, hey, it hurts and there's some bleeding involved, but it beats the shit out of making a choice because both you guys are fucked. I don't, So let me show you. Well, before we get into that, let's deal with something that matters, something that will make us feel safe, better off in this crazy, burned out burg of a world. Melania Trump at the UN. Now, before you worry and go scattering and go, Hal, I can't sit through her speech at the UN, you don't have to. The White House made an ad. First Lady Melania Trump presides over the UN Security Council, which, for the record, is fucking bananas. And if Hillary Clinton, before she was Secretary of State, when it would have made sense, or Senator of New York, which also kind of would have made sense as a guest person running that for the U.S., if she'd have done it while she was just married to Bill in the 90s, what do you think the Republicans would have done? We didn't vote for this bitch. Who the fuck? Right? Ugh.
And look who we have at the United Nations right now. First Lady Melania Trump is presiding over the UN Security Council meeting.
First spouse of a world leader to take the presidency
First spouse.
seat at the United Nations' most powerful body.
Peace does not need to be fragile. Enduring peace will be achieved when not.
Literally, his wife, who, I mean, granted, who am I to judge her? She got a genius visa. And anybody with an accent knows 2 languages. You should hear me, I mean, I'm sure my Chinese sounds like Schwarzenegger trying to speak in Spanish to some Chinese people, but but I would like to say, for the record, it's a really bad sign that they're sending his ESL wife to speak on his behalf because he's too busy bombing a country that we had no reason to fear would attack us, and because if he actually sat there, it would be even scarier because of the. I guess there are no drapes for him to ramble on about.
Knowledge and understanding of.
It looks like everybody's ignoring her while she talks.
Fully valued within all societies. We are in the age of imagination.
What the ever-loving shit is going on? Think about this for a second. The First Lady is speaking on behalf of the United States to the UN Security Council, and the White House has spent your tax dollars editing together a campaign ad for her, maybe?
A period where technology can be free and
I love the dude on the right who's just sitting there going, oh, fuck, when is this over? When is this over?
Restricted by land borders. We must cultivate a just moral imagination for the next generation.
A just moral imagination for the next generation. Okay, that doesn't actually mean anything?
For our children, building an infrastructure of understanding.
Oh, that's nice. Isn't that nice? An infrastructure of understanding. It's a scaffolding of truth that, maggots can climb on the next January 6th and shoot guns off and pretend they never brought them.
The path to peace depends on us taking
Path, not pact. Path, I think is what you said.
responsibility to empower our children through education and technology. Security Council members, I encourage you to pledge to safeguard learning in our communities and promote access to heightened education for all. I implore you.
It's the Security Council. Don't they have a fucking World Education Forum or something?
To build a future generation of leaders
UNICEF?
who embrace peace through education.
Great. Yeah. Finally, someone spoke truth to power. And she smells fantastic. She doesn't have the stank of her husband honor at all. That's the great thing about not living in the White House, no matter what Trump says while he's wandering off to the fucking... All right. Now, two people that hate each other. I don't know who to give first dibs on this to. I really don't. It's so difficult. Let's go, because Miss Lindsay says, the liberation of Iran is at hand. Never shall Iran rely again on the kindness of strangers. Where's my mint julep and a fainting couch? I need to put my feet up so the swelling in my neck goes down. Lord, help me in this situation. Or, this isn't funny. Tucker Carlson, who's very upset at Trump for putting a target on Iran with red things, and I guess flashing his nunt so heavily at him. So I don't know who is this. Is it nunt on nunt? I guess technically he's got kind of a forehead one going on here. He's got a forehead vag situation. It's more like a furrowed butt crack. But you get my point. Do we go vapors or giggling demon-fucked lunatic? It's so hard. It's such a toss-up. Let's go with this one because he's an elected representative with actual power within the United States government. I haven't figured that one out either.
Officials concluded to...
Wait a second. This is the short...
Is there a reason why he's looking more like Mr. Magoo by the day?
Person's view of the war. So the briefing was very informative.
Kind of a baseline compliment.
I feel like this administration has been as transparent as you possibly can be without compromising war plans. So I want
to... Well, I understand that if your war plan extends beyond Iran, because the idea is like the war plan is actually, we're just starting with Iran. We're going to start knocking off all these other motherfuckers. And this is how we're going to do it. So we're just kind of testing our toys in a big theater so we can expand. That would be the only way you could do it because nobody is asking for actual strike points and stuff with this briefing. I think the biggest reason is why and why now, asshole.
Congratulate.
Why is the loneliest question that you'll ever not hear
them in terms of keeping us informed. My takeaway, quite frankly, is the Iranians have a strategy of trying to create regional chaos to shut down airports, hit hotels, drive up economic cost to see if the region will break and sue for peace. I've been on the phone all day with our...
Okay, all right. So I think that's Marco Rubio gave a little speech before he went in and gave this thing. He gave a little gaggle. And I think the idea is that everybody's trying to figure out why the fuck they hit everybody, why they blasted hotels in Dubai, why they hit other places in Dubai, assuming, by the way, that these assholes are hitting what they're trying to hit. I think that's a big one. You know, a lot of times we've been through this with Russia. We're like, why would they hit that strategically? And it turns out they didn't mean to. They just hit something because they're fucking morons. And in the case of Iran, it could literally be just flailing. The other thing, because they know they can't make a big impact on Israel because of the Iron Dome, or the U.S. because our ships are out of range, or we have missile defense systems that can protect them. So if you're not going to hit those, hit other shit and try to, again, cause chaos. The only other issue that I see with that is a lot of these other countries are in on it. They're just not overtly in on it. Of course, MBS famously is the one who gave Trump the go-ahead, not Netanyahu. Netanyahu's for it. Don't get me wrong. He's more than happy to accept this as a possibility. But Trump wasn't convinced, apparently, until MBS, his golf course billion-dollar crypto scheme buddy, and famous, wood chipper of journalists, until he got in on it. And so the kind of flailing back from Iran would make sense in that terms. I'm going to float a conspiracy concept right now that is based on tactically integral plans that I think could be in place, and that you guys know how I love putting on my big evil hat. Like, if I was a complete asshole, what would I do in this situation? Well, one of the things that we know from the last attack, I'm not saying this is what's happening, I'm floating this as another possibility as to why Iran is hitting bizarre targets outside the country. Besides consulates, which it makes sense, besides military bases, which makes sense, even a place where Americans in particular gather would make sense. But why the Kuwait airport? Why Bahrain hotels and why Dubai hotels? Well, let's just say you're Israel and you're expecting this push and in the next little bit. Like, you're working with the Trump administration, and instead of being a negotiation that just broke down and this war happened and it didn't have to happen, but they just wouldn't make a deal, operate under this premise for a second and see if you follow me. The entire negotiation process after the attack last year has been a farce. Okay? Let's just that's how this scheme plays out. And either the U.S. or Israel or both, we know that there were Mossad agents that had made their way in and were lasering targets during the last thing. And were presumably still there, and they had people in there, and they would be smart to have people in there in the same way that we had people inside Russia right around 1990-91, because that fucking place was full of maniacs. So this makes sense tactically. This is not a moral failing on their part. This is not something like, oh dear, those conniving Jews. Tactically, it makes sense. But one of the things you could do when you're in there is, especially when it comes to countries that are no fans of yours, is that you set up we know they're technologically very advanced, and technological internal advances like this are very easy in the age of AI, depending on the complexity of the mechanics and the digital infrastructure of whoever your enemy is. Let's say, and this goes along, you guys know my long-standing theory of why Putin doesn't push the button, because he's not 100% sure that after 91 we didn't add malware to all of his nukes, that they wouldn't all go and bomb Moscow, because he really can't tell. They don't. All the people that could go through that code and check it are fucking dead. So he sent them to get shot on the front line. So it's a very strong possibility that Israel got access to the targeting systems of the stuff that was inside, through malware or through direct hacking or something like that, and either scattered the targets or added some themselves. And these aren't actually things launched, flown, or shot by Iran, but Israel or us, to cause this kind of scattershot. So let's say they had one that was aimed at our consulate and we pointed at a hotel in the same area, same country, all that kind of stuff. It is entirely a possibility, but I am floating this as a way of thinking about this differently, because there's a tendency to just kind of take it as like that would be insane in 1995. It's completely reasonable as a tactic now. And again, if you were never planning on this working out, if what the hit last year was a stage 1 hit, and you genuinely have gamed out, we hit them 6 months later, we act like we're coming back to the table. They disagree. We do a run of a month. We pull out and say we've handled everything. 2 months later, we hit them again. And this way we avoid the 60-day window, because we call it off after each one. And during that time, we build up a case as to why the Ayatollahs are bad to everybody, and that anybody that would fill in behind them is equally as bad, and all that kind of stuff, because strategically that would work a lot better than invading Iraq and staying there. And that if you looked at this through the lens of a PNAC scheme that was sitting around powwowing and saying, what did we learn? What were the lessons learned from Iraq and Afghanistan? It would be too expensive, waste of people on the ground. How can we do this from the air and technologically? And then and within a window where we don't have to keep re-upping the budget on this. I gotta tell you, if I was an evil motherfucker and I was in this administration, that's what I have been. That's what I would have been proposing since 2017. And Ken saying this would take planning, not happening in the Trump administration. I agree. I don't think that it's their plan. I think there's a bunch of plans that are in case of emergency break glass, and if you stagger stop them, that would be the way to do it. Because nobody wants to do it the old-fashioned way because they know that's a non-starter. So how do we get our goals met without catching shit as little as possible, or at least clearing our goals? So that's what I'm saying. If I was an evil motherfucker working in this administration, I would suggest a 2-year staggered deployment with no boots on the ground ever, with the goal of creating a civil war and tipping the side I like towards winning, while pretending the whole time that I was talking to them and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying. And maybe this is what happens when a smart person watches a dumb movie, and I'm like, oh, I'm filling in the plot holes in a way that they have not thought of, and this ain't it. Maybe they're just flailing and full of shit, which is still in the in Occam's razor or Occam's rubber mallet being what it is. Is probably the obvious answer. But if you're talking about evil motherfuckers who agree with the goals of the president, who want to come up with a better way of accomplishing his goals than he would have come up with on his own because he's fucking dumb, this is it. And this is the kind of thing that Lindsey Graham would be read in on for a long time. Hence the John McCain bomb Iran thing. So, anyways, just a realm of possibility. Consider it fanfic. Just consider it fanfic. But, again, another lens to look through this buffoonery.
Arab allies, and quite the opposite is unfolding. So I'm here to tell you the good news for me is I think the regional partners, the Arab partners, are going to be more involved, not less. They're not going to break.
Because they're being bombed is the idea. Still, I don't buy it.
They're going to get in the fight in a more direct way. And Iran made a major miscalculation by attacking Kuwait and Qatar.
If indeed it was a calculation at all and not sectarian kind of breakaways within the regime and hey, if you guys ever get hit and you can't talk to us, fuck them up. It could be that dumb. It could literally be that they lost communication with their, with their response groups across the country that fire missiles, and they've got range calculators okay, if you can hit Israel, knock yourself the fuck out. But we also want to make sure they can't bring in resources and stuff like that. So docks, hotels, airports, shipyards, whatever, hit those too. And if you can't talk to us, fill your boots.
In Saudi Arabia, the country...
Or, again, hit anything Sunni, right, would be the other thing. Except Iraq, because they're just pretending at this point.
Countries now are more intent than ever to end the threat forever. So what I see in the coming days...
Yes, and to keep that everlasting peace we're all enjoying so much.
...is more capability directed at the regime that's non-American. More planes flying that are not Americans. More missile capability brought...
Yes, we want to tip off a regional war, step back, and watch everything burn. And then swoop in like the dragons in Rain of Fire and eat ash.
...to the fight by our allies. So the ability to inflict harm on the regime is going to increase, not just because we're more committed to ending this, because we're going to have more partners to do that. Now, so what's the goal here? The goal is to make...
Yes, I'm glad that, a couple minutes into this blathery, we get to the goal.
...sure that when this is over, this regime cannot build ballistic missiles to hit America or terrorize the region.
Well, it won't be that regime. It will be another regime under the same religious structure unless you literally mean a cultural revolution along with regime change. Good luck, asshole.
That when this conflict is over, they cannot continue to support Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, the terrorist network, and they can never go back in the nuclear business.
Well, okay. The problem you have is that look how rich fucking Osama bin Laden was. His family was rich in the region. Why? Oil and construction. Well, if you break off a bunch of these assholes and they're no longer in government, let's just say they're in the oil industry and they're playing along, that doesn't mean they're not secretly Bitcoin shuffling a bunch of cash to Hezbollah from that point on. And you're certainly not going to set up some sort of like banking system within the country as a protectorate to make sure that the wealth that starts being generated, because Trump really wants the oil back on the market because he thinks a spike in it temporarily is good, and if it'll collapse the oil market and make it, super cheap. This is just, by the way, he's not bombing. This is just drill, baby, drill on an international scale.
One of the things that really got President Trump going the most.
Iran is handing Americans. No, it is not. Dude, the problem is not that we could lose here. Honestly, the problem is that we could win really easily, and that sets up a fucked up precedent. Because people will argue about the coulda in this stuff, and so that they no longer have to talk about the shoulda.
It was after Midnight Hammer, we found that they were trying to regenerate their nuclear program. After basically months of negotiation, it was pretty clear that they're wedded to the capability they need to inflict terror, that the regime...
Well, they're just looking at fucking North Korea and going, they leave those motherfuckers alone.
Goal is always to inflict terror and to push their religious agenda.
Terror? Are we back to going with the wind?
Through force. And the missile buildup is designed to...
I just think terror sounds better when you really hit the end of it. Oh, thanks, Christopher. Look at that. Stars from Facebook. Some activity there after all these years. That's lovely. Watch it, or the Twitch people will start giving bits again. It'll be nuts. And I think it works better when you actually fully pronounce it. Terror. Terror.
Give them immunity in terms of...
They are terrorists.
Developing their nuclear program. If we waited much longer...
Much longer. Half a decade.
They're doing 100 a month. The idea of imminent threat to me is...
Also, this 100 a month number, citation fucking needed.
An odd thing. Who wants to let a homicidal maniac be able to get to the imminent stage of hurting you?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was a sexual question. Sorry. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. I'm just saying, 56 years old. It takes a little bit more to get excited. Sorry.
If somebody is threatening my family and wants to rape your wife and burn down your house and kill your children...
In that order?
I don't want to wait till they get to the gun store and the gas station. Since 1979, this regime has been dedicated to chaos through...
By the way, you won't intercept them going to either. And this really sucks in terms of the analogy that you're using in terms of Trump's whole why don't we take the guns and then do due process.
Their religious agenda. In 1983, 220 Marines were killed by Hezbollah.
Yeah, and it was 1983. We were about due.
In Lebanon, 18 sailors, 100 injured. Roadside bombs coming out of Iran have maimed and killed hundreds.
Not coming out of Iran. That's not the point of a roadside fucking bomb. The IED is made with local shit, fuckwad. They didn't have a fucking roadside bomb factory, you dick. That's not the point. You can blame them for what are you gonna... What if they just had the anarchist cookbook on a fucking server? Are they responsible for every act of violence that comes from that from now on? Get the fuck out of
If
here.
not thousands of Americans. They mean it when they say death to America. I'm glad we didn't let it go further. I'm glad we didn't let them build more missiles. I'm glad we didn't let them regenerate after Midnight Hammer. So the idea that you're going to let a homicidal maniac get to the imminent stage, to me, is misplaced.
Right. So who are we knocking off next? If that's the standard, and your definition of homicidal maniac is somebody who managed to show up to work every day. I mean, is this the Hannibal Lecter's Donald Trump was warning us about?
So I've never felt better about how this ends. It's not if they fall, it's when they fall. It's not us alone, it's us with the region. Europe is now getting into the game. So I want to compliment
Funny, I never thought of it as a game.
President Trump for starting something that the world is now gravitating to. This regime...
Because they don't have a fucking choice. I mean, believe me, NATO powers, the United States, and I would argue a couple of other countries specific within NATO powers, for example, Germany and the UK, have the ability, if they wanted to drag the rest of the world into a conflict. If they pick the right target and start blowing the fuck out of it, and the rest of the world relies on, the territory around it, the waterways, the economic structure of what goes through there, or the resources from the region, that's always going to be true. Again, this is not about could. This is about should.
Is in his death throes. The amount of firepower coming in the next day or two from us is going to be overwhelming. And when you add to the mix...
Well, I would rather, for the record, since there are so many civilians in the areas, that it would be whelming. Unless, of course, Whelming is a small city in Iran.
The Arab capability, then it's going to be overwhelming. The demise of this regime is at hand, and the goal is...
It's at hand. The hour of their fall has come to us. We must seize this time and move in with our oil rigs again. And by ours, I mean, of course, BP's, but I have stock in it, so fuck off.
To make sure they can never be a threat like they were before.
So how do you know?
Perhaps worse.
How do you know? How do you know it's not good? How do you know that the next regime that may come in may not be more hardline than the last regime?
I don't think 32,000 people went to their death to be hard ass. That's really offensive to the people in the street, that they want a country that's...
Yeah, he didn't say hard ass. He said hard line. Also, maybe, you know what? I forgive you. It's probably because you're thinking ass all the time. It happens.
More crazy. Why are they in the street? They don't like living under the Ayatollah. These people are not facing guns.
Right, but they've not liked that for a long time, and the other folks might still be there. And again, Israel's blowing up the coercive network, but that doesn't mean they're going to be successful. And the concern is that if the new group rolls in, they aren't going to be like, okay, we'll drive them back with fucking rubber bullets until we decide to kill them later or whatever. They're just going to fucking slaughter everybody, and this will be a big cleansing. Like the first swing at Hitler.
Without arms, because they like what's going on. To think that the protesters want more Ayatollah is really offensive to them.
Yeah, that's way to dodge the question. I'm sure it's not what they want, but this is what you want. This is what you get. This is what you want. This is what you get.
Here's what's going to happen.
Maybe they won't be able to
Just wait a
control
minute. The idea of the Ayatollah being our friend is zero.
I was wondering that, because I was thinking about sending him a note. Ayatollah, would you like to be my friend? If yes, check this box, and then a cootie catcher. But now I'm not going to, because Lindsey Graham is apparently about to hand job a ghost onto his nose.
The idea of the Ayatollah giving up his nuclear ambitions were zero. He's a religious fanatic. You could say that about Hitler. I bet somebody asked in 1935, what happened if we killed Hitler?
Goebbels would have run the place. Somebody else would have filled in. Again, you're making a great case for why the Iranians would want to knock off Trump, and it wouldn't work. And this might not either. That's not the point.
I wish we'd have known. It will only get better. Now, what happens is up to the Iranian people, not me, not anybody here. They have a chance to take their country back if this regime falls. And I think they want it back in a different way. The idea that these people would want the same thing.
Yeah, it's not about what they want. It's about what will happen. Here's the problem with people that want to live in peace a lot of times, especially if they're not the armed kind. It's that they want to live in peace, but they've been structurally held down by people who don't give a fuck about peace. And when it's a jump ball, they end up fucked. They don't get a chance to build this whole peaceful thing because somebody else runs in with an AK-47 and a bunch of ammo they got from Russia and dusts all of them off while they're having a fucking meeting.
After sacrificing really is short-sighted. It's offensive to them. So
yeah, again, I'm outraged on behalf of all these people. You think they want to live in bondage? No. I'm saying, do you have, now that you've killed the last guy that put him in bondage, how do you know the guy behind him doesn't want to just fucking kill them? And then what happens? Then you got a nation where one half has eliminated the half that wants to live free. Just live free or die. All right, we choose die for all you fuckers.
World to Europe, get behind the...
And by the way, the only way you make sure that doesn't happen, boots on the ground.
Protesters, they're your best chance to have a stable Iran. They're not going to repeat the mistakes of the past, I don't believe. But if they do, we'll do what we did in the past.
We'll keep bombing them until they get it right.
We'll deal with the threat. So the idea that you, like taking Hitler out, if somebody asked that in 1935 and they say, let's don't do it, boy, was that a big mistake. It would be a big mistake to let this regime continue to march toward a nuclear weapon, to build more missiles. So the regime is going to fall. And what?
Okay, so now do Kim Jong-un. I mean, do Xi Jinping. He's fucking genociding Uyghurs. Who thinks he's going to stop there? I mean, the dude's a Han, it believes in Han racial superiority. I mean, how could you, if you were him and you look in the mirror, how could you not think you're the superior race? You know, it's the same with Trump. They just look at them and go, you can't do any better than this. God damn, I'm handsome.
What follows will be up to the Iranian people, and I think it's going to be better. And the biggest prize of all is that when they fall, I talked to Saudi Arabia today. When this regime collapses, there will be a sprint toward normalization. Bibi said last night that he wants to work with Saudi Arabia to take up where they left off under President Biden, and I want to give him credit for trying to expand the Abraham Accords to Saudi Israel, which is the biggest prize of all. So this regime...
The biggest prize of all. Damn, man. You almost, you used the Hitler buffer. You almost made a clean escape.
The regime is going to collapse. It's not if, it's when. And when that happens, there'll be a gateway to peace that no one...
A what? Sorry, a what kind of way?
It's not if, it's when. And when that happens, there'll be a gateway to peace.
One more time? Look, I understand Freudian slips as I...
Collapse. It's not if, it's when. And when that happens, there'll be a gateway to peace.
Well, you know, I gotta say, I've often described my old show Queer as Folk that way. I don't think that's what he means. But I understand now why he hears ass and says gateway. Okay, look, you can't stuff down who you are, Lindsay. You can't do it. It will eventually burst forth again. It's when people are forced to come out of the closet. If you take your hands away, they don't just lightly float to the top. It's like a beach ball you're holding down. They pop out of the water and everybody gets wet.
That no one ever envisioned. So President Trump.
No one. That's true. Well, I don't know that no one has envisioned a gay way to peace. I think a lot of people actually have. This isn't a time for personal growth for him.
I'm glad you did it when you did it. If we waited much longer, we'd have a bigger threat on our hands, and we're on the verge of a new dawn.
Senator, is there need at any point?
Seriously, if you put like little round glasses on him right now, straight up Mr. Magoo.
Is there a need at any point for Congress to take a vote or have any role here?
Absolutely. Here's what I think. Normalization will require Congress. MBS wants a treaty of the United States. Well, that requires 67 votes. There may be a supplemental coming. I think there will be a supplemental. We'll have to approve that. Now, let me tell you, I've been a military lawyer most of my adult life. The War Powers Act has been viewed as unconstitutional by every president, Republican, Democrat, since its passage. Why? Because it says after 60 days of combat operations, military operations, they must terminate unless Congress approves. You're shifting the power from the commander-in-chief to the Congress.
Right, because there's a difference between an attack and a war. And a war is a bigger commitment that requires a buy-in from the people, and therefore the War Powers Act figure, if you can't do this shit in 60 days, it's a fucking war, dummy. That's not unconstitutional. That's super constitutional. The moron you know.
If we don't like a military operation, we can cut off funding. But the War Powers Act is an unconstitutional shift.
Yeah, but the military budget itself is full of a bunch of pockets that can pretty much go on indefinitely for at least a fucking year. They don't want to have to fund they don't want to fund the military like you're feeding a fucking Rancor, where you got to walk out and you drop one meal at a time and run back or whatever. You want to be able to feed it for the year without having to go, okay, we got to let it out. It's going to eat somebody if we let it out. But that's how we got to feed it. So you get a budget, but within that budget, there are limits on your actions because you can't limit the budget in case there's an emergency. That's essentially what they've used. Fuck out. This is so dumb. It's been viewed as unconstitutional by most presidents. No, not really. Just Bush and Trump.
Of authority from
and maybe Reagan.
The president, and it would create 535 commander-in-chiefs. It's going to fail tomorrow. Now, if you want to have a vote as to whether or not you approve this operation without a War Powers Act, that's fine with me. I don't mind people being on record as to whether or not they think this is a good idea. I do mind Congress becoming the commander-in-chief.
They're not. They commit us to war with a country. Arguably, if the leadership of a country has been killed and the second and third in charge and there is no functioning structure, it's a matter of days before you qualify it as a failed state, in which case you can't be at war with it anymore because it's the Islamic State of Iran no longer exists and we're not going to declare war on fucking Persia.
They're extremely critical after Benghazi, after the Afghanistan withdrawal. There are thousands of Americans stuck in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Do you think the administration is doing enough to make sure they get
Yes, Marco's doing a good job. Here's
No, he's not.
who you contact to get out. We're trying to send flights.
Yeah, they've set up a 1-800-WTF flight line.
In. You pay now or you pay later. If they get a nuclear weapon, they
that's a long range problem.
would use it.
Right. You were in negotiations to get them to stop doing it, which would entail inspectors and all this other stuff, which did not involve shooting up entire fucking blocks of homes and buildings and schools and shit like that.
They keep trying no matter what we do. Why? Because they want to.
Well, I gotta say, I have not seen any evidence whatsoever, even presented by these assholes, that says that during the Obama deal they were doing that. That they'd effectively halted with the look of eventually getting the oil sanctions relief that they wanted, which Trump gave them, by the way. Again, where the $6 billion came from that Biden was going to trade for the hostages, that was an oil payment from South Korea to the Iranians that was held up in a bank because it would violate the sanctions relief or violate the sanctions. Trump gave him relief, and when he was caught, he shut it off, and that money just sat in the fucking bank. And Biden said, give us our fucking hostages. You can have the money for the oil you already sent to South Korea, and then that's it. And they gave us our hostages, and we never gave them the money.
Nuclear weapon to enact their agenda. They want to purify Islam. They want to destroy Saudi Arabian Sunni Islam and then replace it with Shia Islam. That's what they say, not what I say. They have been building ballistic...
Which, by the way, is the big reason why MBS gave the go-ahead, not Bibi Netanyahu. Everybody wants to kill the Jews, but the Saudis are like, wait, they want to kill us too? Fuck that.
Missiles at a
wood chipper those motherfuckers.
Rate that is just stunning. They've killed 32,000 plus of their people who've been protesting, and they support Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. One thing to President Trump, in case you're watching. In 1983...
Sorry, he's talking to Trump. This is an audience of one moment.
Ronald Reagan...
He's not watching. It's the middle of the day. He's asleep.
...sent Marines and sailors to try to police and deal with the Lebanese civil war. They were at the end of the runway. Hezbollah attacked the Marine barracks, killed 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and wounded 100 others. Ronald Reagan, who I admire and love, withdrew and never did anything about it. So I'm calling on President Trump today
to bomb Lebanon.
Join Israel to attack Hezbollah.
Yes, all right. Yes, that's it. I was kidding. Fuck me. I was joking. That's what he wants. Lebanon's next. We'll get to Cuba next month.
Avenge the Marines. America never forget.
Avenge the Marines. The people that are there, it's not even the same leadership. It's certainly not the same fucking soldiers.
Those two.
I guess it's the organization, though. So you're bombing the brand, after all.
220 Marines and 18 sailors' families. We want to go after the infrastructure that killed your loved ones. They're IRGC assets in Beirut as I speak.
Well, guess what? Israel's been hitting those as well.
President Trump come up with a new operation called Simplify.
Jesus Christ.
Fly with Israel and go after Hezbollah, who has American blood on its hands. Not only take the mothership of Iran down, also take the proxy of Hezbollah, settle the score, even the account.
Wow. All right, one last question. Well, I have a question. You can have one last question for me.
Of what the timeline looks like now.
I feel that's a good question.
And then also, how are we not going to be drawn into a larger ground operation?
There is no reason right now to use troops, but if we need them, the goal is victory.
Whoa. If we need them, we'll have them. Guess what? He's the commander-in-chief. We aren't. So if he wants to send them, fuck you, lady. That's what that means. So, and again, Trump's not afraid of boots on the ground. He just said it about Venezuela, and he meant it about this. Sorry, maggots. That whole thing that he was selling you about, what was it? No new foreign wars, and what does he say? Him being the pro-peace candidate, and
that was just bullshit, Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this. Donald Trump is seeking victory against the Iranian regime. Who's going to win a war between the Iranian regime and the United States? We are.
Right. It's not a question of could. And our military is the size of the next 6 combined, and that includes China. Their giant Navy story is a bunch of fucking tugboats. Thank you so much for that. The Reagan administration was warned about the Marine barracks. Yes, agreed. And this was one of those things where they just took it on the chin.
We're going to win this conflict. We have Arab partners today that we didn't have yesterday. So this is going to end with us.
Which, again, strategically is what makes me get kind of conspiracy-minded about this. I'll go buy a tinfoil hat later.
Winning and the Ayatollah's regime going down. What happens next is up to the Iranian people. So what I would tell the American people, pull for victory.
Okay. Pull what? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be asking you that question.
Hope that this works well.
Yes, okay, all right. Hope it works well. I think that's what everybody's kind of doing since we have no fucking control over it. But the problem is, like I said, the problem is that it does work. Because we have a giant fucking military that nobody can match. And Trump is fucking nuts. It's not, and again, it doesn't even, it could work short term. We could absolutely topple these motherfuckers. But it could lead to other regimes going, holy shit, we need to bomb America right away, or they're going to come after us. This is the end. It could trigger a bunch of shit. And the Iranian regime would still be dead, but the problems created by wiping them out could roll on for the foreseeable future. Like, that's obvious to anybody. Yeah, so, oh great, okay. We'll all sit back and fucking hope it doesn't go sideways. That's worked before.
Pull for the idea the Iranian people can live.
Pull the other one.
Without the Ayatollah, that they can be a new Iran emerges from the ashes of this regime. It would be a good thing for the world. At the end of the day, the region is committed to seeing it through. Iran is trying to break their will. It has backfired. So,
yeah, I'm not quite sure that there's even a coordinated effort. Like I said, I do think this is random spray because I think they've lost comms inside Iran more than likely. So they're just firing at whoever pissed them off last.
Timetable has shifted. I think the demise of the regime is far more likely to come quicker today than it was yesterday because we have more partners.
Well, yeah, yesterday we only bombed, I don't know, whatever, 2,000 sites, and today we bombed 3,800. So yeah, if you keep bombing, the day of the fall gets closer. The question is what do you create in the vacuum?
Today.
Besides the Epstein files.
I don't know. You need to ask the military people. And, you know, in World War II, they didn't ask how long would it take. They said, we're going to go to Berlin. We're going to go.
Yeah, but the Germans had already invaded Poland, and we knew that were setting up they'd been setting up concentration camps, and they invaded fucking France, you dumb motherfucker. We didn't ask how long it took because we were asking how long it would take for them to get here. And then the Japanese joined in with them and hit us from the west. So that's why we didn't have to be asked, shithead.
Tokyo, we're going to protect our life. See, what you got to understand, that the regime in Iran would kill everybody in this room if they could. It's not about...
Yeah, but they can't. I'm sure the cartels in South America would get everybody in that room hooked on fucking heroin if they could. And?
Republicans or Democrats, it's about Americans. They're religious fanatics. They want to kill all the Jews. They want to destroy Sunni Islam. They want to come after us. So we need...
But enough about Kansas Owens' production team. Okay, I'm just sticking around.
To have the approach to this like we did in World War II. This is a terrible mothership of terrorism regime that's killed Americans since 1979, terrorized the region, and it's on the verge of collapse. And I want to congratulate...
I want to just whip it out and start spanking it. This is great.
Donald Trump and his team for putting together the most impressive military plan I have ever seen.
They didn't. This plan has been around in one form or another for decades. It was, you could argue that it was pitched during the early PNAC days. Wesley Clark warned us about it. Donald Trump waved this plan around to Mark Meadows' autobiographer. It was, part of the case against him retaining classified documents after he left the White House.
What's coming in the coming days from us is going to be a lot bigger than it's been in the last couple of days. The Arabs are in the fight now, so stay tuned.
Yeah, they're not in the fight. They got attacked and they're pissed. That doesn't mean they're going to help us or lob shit of their own.
What's coming toward the rim...
They're going to keep their fucking powder dry.
Remnants of the regime is going to be overwhelming. The liberation of Iran is at hand. The gateway to peace is about to open. Things that I've been working...
The gateway to peace is about to open. And it spread its cheeks for freedom.
With President Biden can now materialize. The biggest prize in the region would be the end of Arab-Israeli conflict. That will never happen as long as Iran is around. October the 7th was designed to stop what President Biden and I were trying to do, build on the Abraham Accords. Iran's worst nightmare is the Arabs and the Israelis make peace because they're not a peace-loving people. It's a cult of death. We're going to take up where we left off when this regime collapses. And I think the biggest prize of all from taking the regime down is that those who want to make peace in the region will be able to do it without being threatened by the mothership of terrorism.
Okay, this is because a sanctioned country has control over the Strait of Hormuz, and they use their satellites to extend their power because they felt trapped over these years or whatever, and all like insane psychopaths running the place, storyline aside, which is fundamentally mechanically true. The resource war that's underlying is what's always been at play. And the Saudis would be more than happy to join in the oil exploration of Karg Island and the rest of Iran on behalf of the Brits and us and whoever else to sell it to China. As a control point for China, by the way. All right, so on the other side of that insanity, and this, why are you even asking why, is butt crack forehead over here. For those of you that don't know, this is Tucker Carlson, and he whittled his little house where he does his show all by his lonesome.
I like wood.
Yep.
Deeper and longer.
And so we're going to take a look at, it says, there was no imminent threat, Tucker explains. Okay, A, we know. B, you voted for that guy. I didn't. I knew he would do shit like this. His first term was right out of the fucking Republican playbook with a veneer of bullshitter over top of it. So why would this be any different? Why wouldn't he carry out the PNAC storyline or the Heritage or Project 2025?
Officials.
So stupid. All right. And anyways, it'll go stupid. Go on. Be stupid.
Why did this happen?
Because it was going to happen because Donald Trump's the president of the United States.
Now, in this case, there's a really simple answer. This happened because Israel wanted it to happen.
No, Israel wanted it to happen, but they had always wanted it to happen. The reason it happened now is because the Saudis went, actually, we're for it too. But you're not going to bring them up. And also, the reason you're against it is not because it's a terrible idea and regime change and you don't like, foreign wars and America first or any of that kind of shit, because we know that's bullshit. You don't give a rat fuck about poor people in the United States. This is about Iran's partnership with Russia, and that's what this statement will be in defense of.
This is Israel's war. This is not the United States' war. This war is not being waged on behalf of American national security objectives to make the United States safer or richer. This war is not actually even about.
I don't know. It's got a new Bretton Woods kind of a ring to it to protect oil conduits for the time being, because Donald Trump's a backwards-looking motherfucker who believes in fossil fuels. So there might be just an old-fashioned, like, when we went to Iraq, we should have kept the oil. So let's do it again in another country, and we'll keep the oil this time. It's that dumb.
Weapons mass destruction, nukes, chem bio. No, this war is waged.
I don't know that they said chem bio. I don't know if they've said chemical and biological weapons. I think that was an Iraq thing. But I mean, I think a lot of his viewers assume that if he says it, he heard it someplace and they can just take it for granted that somebody in the administration said they had chemical and biological weapons, so that he can, I guess, reuse a lie from the Iraq war to cut down the justification for this one, as if you need to. Like, you need to make this dumber.
Purely because Israel wanted it to be waged. Now, why?
No, again, they're not the only ones. Saudi Arabia benefits greatly from a weakened Iran. And Donald Trump has a bigger relationship with the Saudis than he does with Israel. Real money.
I say that out loud.
Because Russia pays for your fucking cedar box you live in?
Early in the conflict. Isn't that dispiriting for, say, American troops fighting this war? Yes, it is. And we thought a lot about...
Who's we, motherfucker? This bugs me. Like, who the fuck is we? This is Tucker Carlson speaking on the Tucker Carlson Network. That insofar as I know, there are no other shows. Who's we? State your opinion and your ideas and stop hiding behind an artificial wall of other people you fucking powwowed with. You chicken shit. There is literally no difference between his production except for he has millions of dollars and mine. This is Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. It's on my YouTube channel. I'm Hal Sparks, and I'm saying what I'm saying. He's Tucker Carlson on the Tucker Carlson Network. Who the fuck is we? Just say you pussy. Ugh, I hate this.
Whether it was wise or decent even to say something like that out loud.
And again, maybe he's talking about him and the trucker demon he fucks every Wednesday after his wife goes to bed.
Have decided that it is for the following reason. First, because the truth is always the only basis for wise decision-making. When you lie to yourself or you lie to your people.
Then why the fuck did you vote for Trump again?
You not only commit, well, a kind of moral crime by lying, but you also tend to hurt yourself.
Yeah, that would be bad. Living a lie, no one should do that. Anyways, go on, man who was fucked by demons and has weird scratches right here and on his shoulder, as if somebody was, I don't know, kind of grabbing him like this.
Hubris is the product of lies, for example.
Yes, and could be the title of your show.
You can get way over your skis if you're not honest with yourself and the people.
Oh, way over your skis. He's been watching my show. Hi, Tucker. I'll go up against you anytime. I don't get why you gargled Putin's balls, and I would love to call you out on the fact that you just went basically on a Resorts World tourist trip to Russia and pretend that's how the Russian people live. You fucking piece of shit. You silver spoon asshole trying desperately to be a man of the people by not having drywall
around you about what's happening and why it's happening. But long term, that is also true. In other words, it's important to say why this war is happening because 50 years from now, people may not know.
There won't be a 50 years from now. Jesus is going to come back anytime. I'm checking shit.
Your grandkids may learn that this war started because the Ayatollah showed up in Miami and started machine gunning people in a shopping mall, and so we responded. There was a kind of Iranian Pearl Harbor. You don't know what.
Well, I mean, I guess if Fox was in charge of things. Sorry, do you think Newsmax or RSBN is going to be the only surviving news channel?
Future will believe about the present. You don't know how history will be written. And if you're skeptical of that, if you're asking yourself, well, how could historians...
Oh, okay. So he's going to go back and give us the whole, like, Hitler was really not the bad guy of World War II. You've just bought into this line.
Popular historians, how could future culture so misunderstand something so big? How could...
Yeah, like, Tucker's under the impression that people have a bad view of Hitler as a human being and that somehow he's responsible for World War II.
People lie about something so obvious, so giant.
Because it's a prerequisite to be on your show?
Well, history is your guide. A lot of the big events we think we understand, including wars from the past.
Yeah, you don't think dinosaurs are real, do you? Those bones were made by Freemason craftsmen that worked as stone sculptors to create the illusion of life that was here before humans so that people wouldn't believe in God. They're also behind us faking the moon landing.
The not so distant past are completely distorted in our memories. In other words, that's not actually what happened at all.
Speak for yourself, dipshit.
And the truth is, if enough people lie about something at a high enough volume,
it's group witchcraft.
And they do it for long enough.
We all start singing along.
Loudly enough, while threatening anyone who refuses to lie about it. Over time, their lies become conventional wisdom.
Yeah, this leans really far into his old. He did a whole show, I think, where, somebody was like, Hitler's not really who started World War II. Of course. And people believe that.
Everyone believes them. There is something about repeating a lie over and over and over again.
That's very lucrative. It's why he started his own network.
That's almost like a spell or an
Oh my God, this is the same shit he said to Megyn Kelly.
incantation. It's almost a form of witchcraft.
It's not. It's literally not.
It assumes reality, or a version of reality, an ersatz reality.
No, it doesn't, or it wouldn't be a lie. It would be a mistake. Repeating a lie over and over again is trying to saturate a lie into the zeitgeist. It's not magically trying to make it not a lie. Asshole.
A fake reality. But reality never.
This is so fucking weird. Like, this is as odd as his whole I was fucked by a demon story. It just sounds like more normal language, but it's just as dumb.
Nevertheless, and if you're interested at all in history, going back thousands of years or even more recently, you know that the understandings of certain events that you grew up hearing about probably totally inverted. The opposite is true, but you didn't know that until...
Okay, no. I think there's a sense of being classically uninformed about the greater depths of a particular situation, but the idea that, again, the good guys we thought were actually the bad guys the entire time sounds like a sales pitch for neo-Nazis, honestly.
You dug a little deeper, in some cases a lot deeper.
Into your great-grandfather's steam trunk in the attic where he kept his uniform after the war.
To find out, because they have been distorted in the retelling. And because they have been, because a lot of our most basic assumptions are based on untruths.
Again, speak for yourself.
We wind up getting into the same messes again and again.
Who the fuck is we?
So it's just important to tell the truth about this now in the early stages. This is, by the way, widely known. This is not a conspiracy theory. Everyone's saying it out loud now because it's true. The United States committed troops to this conflict.
Troops?
Because the prime minister of
troops.
Israel, not Israel as a nation, but the guy who runs it, Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi, demanded it. 7 trips to the White House over the last...
Yeah, over the last year, and he couldn't get it done. And then MBS was like, yeah, I'm cool with it, hit it.
Last year.
But he's going to leave out MBS because he has business dealings with MBS's friends.
And the point of those trips never...
Yeah, there's no situation where Tucker Carlson buys land in fucking Israel, even in Trump buys a condo in Trump Plaza, Gaza. But you're goddamn right, he's got a house in Qatar and some property there, and he'd love to have an office in Dubai.
Buried. The United States needs to commit to regime change in Iran. We need the U.S. military to overthrow the government of Iran. And Bibi himself is based...
And sorry, so Trump was hypnotized. Bibi Netanyahu took 7 trips, but he managed to cast a spell on Donald Trump, a grown man you voted for.
He said that it wasn't that we thought Iran was going to get nukes this week, and that's why we did this. Nobody's even saying that now.
They're not saying the week timeline, but they're using very soft language about when it was going to happen to make it sound like it was right away.
It will be in the future when our memories get a little dimmer and they can manipulate us more. But right now they're admitting, no, actually they were not on the verge of getting nukes. Bibi himself said, you can pull up the video, I've been dreaming about this for 40 years. We've finally done it.
And? You sure that wasn't Lindsey Graham?
So this is the culmination.
I have a few covens I can talk to. We can make a huge list. Hey, Karen, if your covens need to help anybody, send help my way. Yeah, just a little, little white witchcraft. I'm for it, I'm not castigating the practice. I'm just saying he's full of shit.
Of a long-time plan, of strategy. And actually, if you look at it backwards and try to assess recent events, even in...
Yeah, it's like a Judas Priest record. If you play it backwards, it sounds like... Yep. You know what that means. I don't have to tell you. You know.
In this country, in American political life over the past several years, certainly over the past 6 or 8 months.
Fuck, this is tiresome.
you can see that a lot of what was happening here was preparation for where we are right now. In other words,
yeah, PNAC and the Republicans have been wanting this for a long time. Every time a Democrat gets in office, it sets the plan back. So every time they get a Republican in, they have to double down on shit and get another toehold. Ta-da!
Words, people who wanted war in Iran were softening up the public for it, were manipulating the U.S. government in order to affect it, and were
manipulating the U.S. government. What the fuck are you talking about? They were in the U.S. government. Republicans. Specifically.
Doing their very best.
Yeah, again, this falls back into that whole shit. Like, if they don't like something Biden's doing, you know, it's something that's happening during Biden, it's not that, even if it's just a legal issue with how the government's supposed to work, it's all Biden did this and Biden did that. But the minute Trump gets in, it's like the government's doing a bunch of shit. They were manipulating the government. This motherfucker made the call. I don't care who called him and talked him into it. He said yes. That's gotta matter. You fucking asshole. I hate this argument more than any other. This ridiculous attempt to like protect Trump from his own fucking decisions. Like he had no choice. And again, if you're making the case he had no choice, and that Bibi Netanyahu or anybody else asked him to do it and he fucking had to, there's only two reasons. He had to for his own financial gain, or he had to because he was being blackmailed. And if he can be blackmailed, then maybe you should support a fucking dude who can be blackmailed by the Epstein files copy that was mailed to them before Epstein escaped, in theory.
To silence anyone who doubted its wisdom.
Says the guy on fucking YouTube right now.
A lot of the things we have seen in the recent past are, and now it's very obvious, they were all designed to get us to where we are now.
Yeah, Republicans have been playing this game plan for a while, and it's only taken a while because their plan has been interrupted by the election of Democratic presidents.
War with Iran on behalf of Israel. Now, just a caveat at the outset, just because the prime minister of Israel wanted a regime change war with Iran does not mean in any sense that it was a wise idea for Israel. It certainly wasn't a good idea for the United States. No one just really disputes that. But was it a good idea for the country or for the prime minister who advocated for it? No, probably not, actually. Just because
Again, I don't know what this fucking reasoning is about. This is like magic thinking, again, idea that it won't work out for them. The problem isn't that it won't work out. The problem is that it will. That's how colonialism starts and spreads. Trump got a hard-on after fucking Venezuela. Well, barely a semi, but the closest thing he's had to one in years. And was like, shit, we can do this again. That was awesome. The problem is not that it won't work. The problem is that it will. And then you'll keep moving. It's not about capability. It's about ethics and responsibility. Do we stay America if we get up to this kind of shit? I would argue no.
We want something doesn't mean it's good for us. Sometimes when we get what we want most, we're destroyed by it. Hope that doesn't happen to Israel, of course, or anybody. But it could.
And maybe it doesn't. And then what? Then their ego is like, fuck, who's next? That guy looked at me sideways.
So
that's the bigger fear in this situation. It really is.
You get to the truth of things.
It's effectively where Russia found itself. It got like it felt like fuck Chechnya, Georgia. We got a chunk of Ukraine. We do this again. It's ours in 6 days, and if it ain't, we'll just fucking make them take it. We'll just grind dead Ukrainians until we run out of ammo. Because fuck them. That's the problem. That's why you have to put stoppers on countries like Russia, and it's why we as voters have to put stoppers on our own government, because it's not that we don't have the capability of doing this, it's that we shouldn't do it.
And you see who's pushing for them, that doesn't mean that person understands his own best interest or his country's own best interest. Often they don't.
Well, then how the fuck do you know that your way is the right way? This is a fucking zero-sum philosophy.
Often we don't.
But sorry, we the American people, or we the royal group of assholes that is on that your show right now.
It doesn't change the fact that we got here because Israel lobbied for it.
Yeah, it does. You can lobby all the fuck you want. Who made the choice to go in? It's their responsibility. Even if I was conned out of my fucking rent money playing 3-card Monte on the fucking L, like happened to a friend of mine a long time ago, it's not the dude who's doing the 3-card Monte. He's a cheater. That's the fucking game. It's my fault for gambling on a losing game. It will always be. Metaphorically, because it wasn't me. I know you think it is because of the way I spoke about it, but it wasn't. But it's an analogy that all my friends use for everything because it actually happened to a friend of ours.
And virtually everyone in the U.S. government, certainly in the Pentagon, understood the risks. The risks were obvious from day one.
Their job is to understand the risks. The fuck are you talking about?
First,
and it's also, by the way, their job to understand the risks of any military action and work out the ways to mitigate them and maximize winning, because that's the design. That's the fucking gig. This is not. These sentences have no meaning that you are saying.
You knock off a government. We have a long history of doing that. It's not that hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
The individual bravery of the U.S. military personnel, the soldiers who do it, is laudable, impressive, amazing sometimes. But that is, we have learned, the easy part. Killing Saddam, okay, amazing. What comes next? Et cetera, et cetera. This is all.
Yeah, bad choice, because by and large, Iraq's been peaceful ever since. They certainly don't have fucking rape rooms and all that other stuff. Doesn't justify what we did and when we did it, but it's a bad example. A better example would be the Taliban. That was a fucking Groundhog Day, and we were just living in the time between the clocks.
All very, very well known. And it was very well known 48 hours ago that there was no real plan to replace the government we were hoping to topple. At which point, what?
Who's we?
Well, now you have a country, Iran, the size of Western Europe, with 92 million people, a country that's, only a little over half Persian, that has its own internal divisions and dynamics and rivalries.
Right, which is what the administration is counting on instead of ground troops to pick up the fight where they leave off. And that's why they feel justified and safe in doing this to some degree.
You have that country potentially breaking apart. And what does that mean?
It means it breaks apart into, Iran, which would be the Persian part of it, and then a secular Sunni Shia bridge version of the country at some point, and depends on where the oil is, I guess. And again, I have bigger fish to fry. I'm more concerned about the fact that you voted for Trump and are still running interference for him, and that maggots that follow this asshole will still forgive Trump and the rest of his administration, and by follow on J.D. Vance and support them in 2028 under the pretense that they're the peace party and that they didn't really want to do this, but Bibi Netanyahu came up and said, "Fuck yourself, a quarter," and waved a stick in their head, and then they in front of their head, and they magically went to war, and they will again.
Well, I mean, hard to see that as a good thing for the rest of the world on so many levels, which we pray don't become more obvious, but they're even now becoming obvious. That could be a true disaster. So why would we want that? Well, of course we wouldn't want that.
Of course. Obviously. Back and forth with those two phrases over and over again. You want to talk about incantation words and an attempt to manipulate people verbally through what would effectively would be closer to hypnosis is, of course, obviously, of course. I say this, and of course, obviously, of course. He does this on a loop. In the same way that Cenk yells, "of course," like that, as a way to diminish the sort of critique nested in whatever he's saying about, of course, for the rest of his argument, and just kind of dismissing. Of course, we put it on a shelf. Obviously, on a shelf. Never break it down. Never go into the depth of it because again, scrutiny is the enemy of people who want to operate in a binary. And that's true of the administration right now. It's what Lindsey Graham is trying to do with like attacking people for saying, are you saying these people are, are weak because they want to live under a dictator? Like, that's not at all what the guy said, but that's Lindsey Graham's way of shutting down the conversation.
The only country that seems to want that, or the only leader, to be fair, once again.
Yeah, Laura Ingraham does the same thing.
Not speaking for every Israeli any more than Joe Biden or Donald Trump or anybody else who runs this country speaks for every American, of course, but...
Of course.
Benjamin Netanyahu wanted that. He thought that was his mission, but more than his mission, maybe his destiny. He suggested that in his remarks today.
He suggested it because you suggested that he suggested it. And again, who gives a rat fuck about the depth of reasoning or whether he thinks this is his moment in history? It's immaterial. He said he can lobby Trump all he wants, but Trump made the fucking decision. So I don't give a shit if he made a $1 bet with one of the other people in the parliament, like the fucking dukes in Trading Places. It doesn't matter. Trump agreed and committed U.S. forces to doing it. And he's committed to, he's comfortable with the idea of boots on the ground. Lindsey Graham basically said we're going to have to do it at some point. On a material level, not because they were fucking had a spell cast on them.
And that's why. But nobody in the U.S. government who I ever talked to or heard quoted on TV seemed to believe that this was primarily in America's interest. There might be ancillary benefits. I mean, you hear these analyses of how, the world.
First of all, yes, you have. And yes, you do. You have Donald Trump's number. He said it's in our interest. You've got, I'm sure he's got Lindsey Graham's number. And you certainly have heard Marco Rubio talk about it. So don't say nobody. Bullshit. This isn't because there's a war switch in the fucking Oval and Bibi came and visited and Donald Trump went to the shitter and Bibi went, oh, fuck, this is my chance, and threw the war switch. They agree. They're in it with him. It's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of a thing. They want to join forces on this fucking thing. They've got their own reasoning behind it. And it may be different than Bibi Netanyahu's, but Trump is fucking bought in on this shit. And a lot of people go, well, if you criticize the Israeli government, you're not anti-Semitic. And if you which is materially true. But there are other people who use criticism of the Israeli government or the leadership as a way to hide their anti-Semitism. And this idea that somehow there's almost an element of like German supremacy that he's defending here, and that Donald Trump's family is of German and Scottish descent, and therefore the sneaky Jew mesmerized him. It can't possibly be that he made a terrible decision based on his own shitty self-interests, like he's done his entire goddamn life. It has to be the sneaky Jew snuck in and said it. Where in anything that he said is Donald Trump's responsibility in this? That's what I'm talking about. Like, where? I mean, I don't even think he's mentioned Trump's name.
Is changing.
You like dogs? Yeah, I like dogs. Caravans more.
It went from being unipolar to multipolar, all true. The United States ran the world uncontested from the summer of 1991 until, pick a date, pretty recently, the rise of China. And all of a sudden you have multi-poles. You have more than one great power vying for control of the world and its trade routes and its resources, et cetera, et cetera. And that somehow knocking off the government of Iran would be good for us in that complex chess game. And
No, Bibi Netanyahu is not trying to stop the fucking Belt and Road Initiative by attacking Iran under the guise of protecting Israel because he owns fucking stock in, cobalt out of Africa. What the fuck are you talking about? And he had to hypnotize Donald Trump to do it.
That's a real argument, I guess. These things
Ugh.
are kind of hard to understand.
No, they aren't. They just don't have anything to do with what you're talking about. They are different things entirely.
And any wise person looks at the world and says, okay, there's no stopping the rise of China. Their manufacturing capacity, their economic power is really the world's largest real economy.
Tell me you've never been to China without telling me you've never been to China.
Is not going to end tomorrow, so...
Yeah, the expectation isn't for it to end tomorrow, dum-dum.
There has to be a way to strike a kind of power-sharing agreement with China, with the East. The United States doesn't rule the world uncontested, and for the foreseeable future is probably not going to.
Yeah, we didn't. We haven't. We don't rule the world uncontested. As a matter of fact, by and large, we've been the world police in terms of the waterways for decades, post-World War II, so that everybody else could get on their feet. And so you could argue, who's in charge? The person who has to do the policing or the people who get things policed for them for free? You can argue that there's as much manipulation by the East, the Middle East, and Europe of the United States to run effectively a naval police force all over the fucking planet to make sure that commerce runs smoothly because we're the primary beneficiary of it. But they have to thrive for that to happen. So they're more than happy to use us to do it. And it's symbiotic or it wouldn't have worked. And that's what Donald Trump fundamentally doesn't understand when he's talking about they took advantage of us for years. No, it was mutually beneficial and we benefited more, but their rise and, both in the manufacturing in China and the output and growth technologically of Europe was born out of us protecting the waterways, including the oil routes, which has dug us down into the Middle East more than any other thing. And Donald Trump wants us to go back to that way because he's too fucking stupid to understand how a windmill or a solar panel works. It doesn't make sense to him. He doesn't understand how the sun can shine on a piece of black glass and you get energy out of it. But he understands fire. And so he just wants us to burn more shit to make more things because he thinks that's how stuff works because that's how it used to work when he was a kid. He's that fucking dumb. And so his fixation on the Middle East and even on South America is based on things that he can see.
So how do we live in some semblance of peace and preserve our own interests? And again, you enter into some informal power sharing agreement with the other great power or powers.
Or you just have treaties with trade partners and other countries that have their own territories.
Probably can't stop that process. It's probably too late to stop China from controlling the East at this point.
No, it isn't. You think the Japanese like them? You think the Koreans like them? You think the Philippines likes being taken over by them? Ask the fucking Vietnamese how they feel about 1978 to 1981.
Killing the Ayatollah is probably not going to do it, so there's probably a better way to do this. But anyway, there are people who disagree.
It's just gibberish.
And if we do...
Seriously, this is just blather. Get to the fucking point. I got to tell you, this feels like one of those noble gold sales pitches where they creep up on you. The point I'm trying to make is you better buy some gold, put it away, because this shit's hitting the fan.
Do this, it'll be better for us long term, and at least you have to give them credit for trying to think of a way in which this might benefit the United States. But most people who assess this knew nothing whatsoever to do with us. This is Israel's war.
Well, again, oil. And Donald Trump's fixation on oil is exactly why we would find ourselves bogged down in this horseshit. If you'll recall, on the campaign trail, where you joined him, I think, a couple of times, he would bring up well, I said I was against Iraq, but once we were there, we should have kept the oil. Remember that? You think he was just joking? You think he didn't mean it? You didn't think he'd want another bite at the apple? What about Afghanistan? I was getting us out with dignity and strength, but we should have kept Bagram. Well, how the fuck do you get out and stay, dum-dum?
That's what it is. It's not an attack. It's not an attack on Israel, by the way. It's hardly anti-Semitism or Jew hatred. It's a fact. A head of state came to our country. A head of a state of 9 million people came to a country of 350 million people and demanded that we help them, or in effect, do it ourselves, topple the regime in Tehran. Now, how did they...
And I'm sorry, we have 350 million people, they have 9. And Donald Trump can't say, no, it's a terrible idea. Strategically, mechanically, we need more time to build up arms so we don't run out of shells when it's happening. They've got a real Navy. We got to worry about blowback on that. We got to protect our own citizens in the area. We got to give them a long drawdown time to get the fuck out of Dodge. No, that's a stupid idea. That's how it works. Unless, of course, they've got a copy of the Epstein files.
Leverage to do this. That's a complicated question. And it's something really...
Wait, you just noticed I shaved? My God, Ron.
We're thinking about. But how did this tiny country with no resources and 9 million people convince the world's great superpower with the greatest military in history to do its bidding in a way that...
Because it wasn't their bidding. We financially benefit from it. At least the people in charge think we do, or they do. Strait of Hormuz, anyone?
Was going to hurt it.
Also, he's partners with the fucking Saudis, and the Iranians are as much their natural enemy as Israel, if not more so. It's growing. Like, the only reason Iran isn't going to nuke fucking Saudi Arabia is because they would destroy Mecca and Medina in the process. So again, there's actually more partnership between Trump and MBS about this than there is about Netanyahu. He's fucking running along behind him going, hey guys, wait up.
Well, again, many layers to that question, but the most obvious and immediate answer is
obviously
it's because Bibi told the president of the United States, you can join me or not, but I'm going.
And the answer is, well, knock yourself out. Godspeed and see you later. We'll just thanks for the heads up. I'll just shore up the defenses around our bases.
And the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, said this in a call to congressional leaders yesterday. He said Israel said they were going. And at that point, you really only have two choices. You can
let them do it and get all the credit, or you could join in because you're a macho dickhead with a tiny little dick.
Get on board and try and help or contain Israel's...
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's the other... This is... Trump just joined in so he can make sure that that Israel doesn't destroy too much of Iran.
War. That's part of the calculation here. Israel's going. Let's try and keep this within bounds. Let's try to be a moderating force on this adventure, whatever it turns out to be.
That's what you're selling now. That's what we sat through this horse shit for? Really? Tucker Carlson thinks, so far, and God knows if he's going to land anywhere. Jesus Christ. Tucker Carlson thinks that Trump was convinced to join in with Israel in an attack on Iran, not because he was hypnotized, but because, oh shit, they're going to go in and we got to make sure that they don't go fucking bananas. We got to get Pete Hegseth involved so we can soft pedal this stuff. What the ever-loving...
Or...
How would you ever interview MTG? I would now. I mean, she wouldn't like it. Because my biggest criticism of a lot of these assholes is not, oh my God, how do you deal with the fact that Donald Trump has betrayed what he said? My problem with them is how are you this fucking gullible? Do you have selective hearing? Did you intentionally ignore all the signs and all the things he was doing that proved he was never going to live up to it? That's my problem. And I don't think she would like it.
You can tell Israel no. And they'll just do it. And if they did it, that would not protect us because there are hundreds of thousands of Americans in the Middle East, both in uniform and out.
Yeah, some of them have gotten killed.
Civilians and military personnel. And they're also the world's most important oil projects.
Huh. That's interesting how long it took him to get kind of close to reality.
Energy infrastructure, oil and gas.
Yeah, energy infrastructure.
Which has more than any other factor a determining effect on the global economy. So everybody needs their oil and gas, period. You can't change that. Sorry.
Yeah, you can. You can shift to electric cars, and you can build up micronuclear and move the country in the direction of renewables, like Biden and Obama were trying to do. Um, and or you could elect Donald Trump and send us back to the fucking Bronze Age.
So if that infrastructure is damaged or destroyed, it affects all of us, everybody, but us. So
So this is a war for oil, and you understand that as a good reasoning.
You can't just let Israel go and do this. Now, of course, there's a third potential theoretical option.
Yeah, we're bigger than they are, and you could tell them don't do it, and they have to listen because we supply them with arms. In which case, you could go to the Congress and go, hey, they're about to do this, and we should let them know that we're going to cut off some stuff if they do this attack because it's going to drag us into a wider... I'm kidding. It's a Jew spell. Go for it.
Which you say to Israel, which is a client state, which we pay for, whose creation we made possible. You say, no, we're not doing that. I get it. You don't like the Ayatollah. You don't like Iran. But this is...
It's a weird little head wag when you're saying Iran, like that's a real thing. Like they're not really dangerous, which they of course are. Just the way, like it. That's another. That would be that waggy head shit is the same as saying obviously and of course as a rhetorical defense mechanism.
It's bad for us, and we're not going to let you do this. And if you do it, we're going to, I don't know what, cut off aid, something. We can apply the pressure that is inherent.
That Biden did, you mean? That Harris would have?
Hours to apply since we're paying for all of this. But that was not even on the table. That's never been on the table. No one has ever in the last 63 years considered doing that.
Democratic presidents have done it repeatedly, both overtly and in closed-door talks.
Really? The last...
Republicans aren't never going to because they're largely driven by a group of evangelicals who are waiting for Jesus to show up and kill all the Jews, and they all have to be in one place.
President to do that was John F. Kennedy in 1962 when he got in a, not as famous as it should be, dispute with the founding prime minister of Israel, then the prime minister of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, over Israel's nuclear program at Dimona. And
look what happened to him. You don't cross the Jews or you can't ride around in a convertible for the rest of your fucking life. That's where he's going. So it wasn't the Cubans or the fucking Russians with the mob. Of course, it can't be the Russians. They're innocent victims and all this shit. So we're going with the Jews now. It's not anti-Semitic at all.
Then President Kennedy said, no, I don't believe in nuclear proliferation. This is one of the pillars of my administration, and you can't keep testing, and I'm demanding inspections. And of course, he was not able to make good on those promises because he was killed in November of 1963.
Coincidence? I think not.
And the person who took his place, his vice president, Lyndon Johnson, gave a green light to the Israeli nuclear program. So that was the last time an American president said no, a hard no.
Coinky-dink? I think not.
No to Israel, tried to restrain its core.
Oh, we'll have a kitty sighting later. We're going to need it.
Ambitions. Not like, be nice to the Palestinians in the West Bank, but no, you can't have nukes, or no, you can't, bomb Lebanon or whatever. That was the last time. So that's not, for some reason, even on the table. So the choice was, do you go along with what Israel's doing, try to constrain it, or do you just sit back?
Or do you get killed? So poor Donald Trump, he didn't have a choice here. He loves, people to see his hair. So he wants to be able to drive around in a fucking...
And then inevitably get drawn into it. So the truth is, and this is hard to say...
See, I told you it was hard to say. Just won't come out. I don't know why. I can write it, but... It's very hard to say. I can't do it.
As a proud American and as someone who wants the United States to remain powerful in the world.
Well, if you don't use the power, how do you know you have it? I guess is the question. Peace through strength. You got to let them, you got to flex a little bit. You can't be as tough as Lyndon Johnson as you walk in there and lay your dick on the table.
A force for decency and order in the world, but
that's adorable.
Above all, wants America to remain prosperous and peaceful at home in the country that we actually live in. It's hard to say this, but the United States didn't make the decision here. Benjamin Netanyahu did. And
okay, so did he fake Trump's signature? Was he the one that made the phone call that Dan Cain quoted? Operation Epic Fury is a go, close, which means no other options were a go. Was that Netanyahu just doing a really good Trump impersonation? You fucking tit.
Again, it's important to say that, not to discourage anybody or make anybody feel despondent or hopeless. There's no reason for hopelessness at this.
Sorry, we're a satellite state of a country of 9 million people. Why wouldn't that make maggots feel hopeless? And also, I guess our elected president has been threatened with murder by this person if he didn't attack a third country, and he was like, "Oh, okay, sure, shit."
Point, but
why would that be a good thing?
In order that it doesn't happen again. Tell the truth so people can learn, hopefully improve and grow.
Wait, this is a growth opportunity for her? For who? Certainly not Donald Trump.
But tell the truth, no matter what.
God damn, that's fucking tiresome. Oh my God. What, like, how many? Well, shit, let's just ask him. Here he is with the German chancellor, taking questions from folks. Now, he makes an opening statement, and they each say something, and then the German chancellor says something, and a lot of it's just like, back and forth. And then let's see, is this?
All of the fired people, we don't believe in that. So we'll see what happens, but first we...
Taken out, what do you think?
We're going to attack first, I felt strong.
Possible. And we have to talk about Ukraine. There are too many bad guys in this world, actually, and this is an issue we have to talk about because we all want. We will talk about.
That's some interest.
Very, very
good,
comfortable place.
You liked it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, great.
By the way, the fucking White House, he's added so much fucking gold. It's pathetic. Like, look at the fucking fireplace. It's creepy. It's like some sort of alien, like a gold alien from space is a symbiotic infection on the building. It's like the whole place is haunted by fucking doubloons.
Place and a famous.
I love gold. The taste of it, the smell of it, the texture.
Place. That's good. Very famous.
So many former presidents.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very famous place. Any questions, please?
All right, so this the answer for hey, Tucker Carlson and your whole horseshit. This is the guy you voted for. This is the guy you campaigned for. This is the guy who you told everybody would be the savior of America and all this kind of shit. This is him saying why he did what he did.
President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes?
Did Israel force your hand? That would be the Marco Rubio idea, that they were going to strike, so we had to move.
Against Iran, did Netanyahu pull the United States into the...
And by the way, Rubio's sitting right there, and there's Vance, and that's Besant and Greer, and then this guy is holding a room mic on these guys. And there's Susie Wiles in eye line, so she can go like this.
I might have forced their hand.
I might have forced their hand.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to...
It was my opinion they were going to attack first.
Attack first. I felt strongly about that. And
I felt strongly about that. Tucker, you listening? You fucking moron.
We have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And
no, they haven't. Everybody on your negotiation team has never done this before. They're real estate guys. Or FinSec assholes.
Based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And
it was that bad. So your team was that bad?
I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. but Israel was ready, and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now.
So I mean, who do you believe? I'm sure that's what he says, but Tucker says Bibi Netanyahu called him, and he like went, "I must attack Iran," and dropped the phone, went straight over to the big war button, and pushed it.
Their missile count is going way down.
Their missile count, yes, I suppose because they are firing a lot of them at civilians.
Amazingly, they're hitting countries that were, let's call them neutral, right? They live together.
Neutral? No, they were not neutral. They were, half of them are mortal enemies of Iran as well. They just didn't bother to fight it because they could piggyback on what the U.S. and Israel were doing.
For a long time, I think they were surprised. I was surprised. And now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting.
No, they're not.
Strongly against them.
No, they're not.
Someday they'll write a story and they'll say why they did that, but they hit countries that had nothing to do with what's going on. They were sort of leaving everything alone. All of a sudden they had missiles shot in, which shows you the level of evil that we're dealing with. They'll hit people that were actually...
Or inaccuracy, I guess.
At least somewhat friendly, and they had no problems with it. Also hitting only civilian places, hotels and...
No, they hit consulates and military bases as well.
Apartment buildings, and we're hitting them.
Also, do we know who was in those apartment buildings? Was there any key figures in there? I mean, I know the way, Israel will talk about whether some member of Hamas or something was in an apartment building when they hit it, right? Are the Iranians immune to that kind of a strike? I mean, their entire media thing is, system is shut down, including the internet. So it'd be hard for them to take credit for whacking some dude in a Kuwaiti hotel who was tied to all this. And you're not going to tell us the truth about our own, staff and people who are killed. So how do we know they didn't literally strike something like a floor of a hotel we were using as a comms base?
Where it is much more appropriate, we're hitting them very hard. And the big scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection. They no longer have any detection facilities at all left. And
detection facilities? What do you mean? There are no men in trench coats with magnifying glasses who will stand and look at things?
They're gonna be in for a lot of hurt. These are bad people. These are people that killed. I guess it's 35,000. It's coming out 35,000. Oh
yeah, 32,000 didn't sound big enough, so he's going with 35.
For the last 3 weeks.
It'll probably be 37 by Wednesday, and then Friday. What do you think? 40? I think they're going to get at 45,000 by Saturday. That they've killed hundreds of thousands of people over the years, uncountable numbers of their own people. Right? That's where we'll go.
Protesters, 35,000 violently killed. So these are bad.
As opposed to
people, and the leader of.
Does anybody think they were killing them softly?
The pack is gone, and as you know, 49 people were taken out in the first hit, and I guess there was another hit today on the new leadership, and it looks like that was pretty substantial also.
All right, but I haven't heard a report about that, but he could be either blathering top secret information or stuff that hasn't been released yet, or just talking out of his ass. It's impossible to know because the whole thing is so dumb.
So they're getting hit very hard, and we'll see what happens. A lot of people are coming forward. A lot of the people you would least suspect want to quit. They want to have immunity.
Yeah, this is by the way, I got to think that somebody told him this would be clever, which is make a statement that there are a lot of people coming forward in the IRGC and stuff, and they're asking us to help them. So this is a old-fashioned ploy to get people paranoid about who they're working with, because you don't know who's defecting, who's talking. We did this during the Cold War or whatever, but this is like the fucking hammers and crayons version.
Asking for immunity?
I'm not muted currently, I don't think.
And probably at some point they'll be dropping, as you would say, laying down their guns. We'll see what...
As opposed to dropping? Yeah, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't drop them. Those are expensive. They're Russian.
It happens. In the meantime, we're just continuing to go forward.
Yeah, that's the Prime Minister of Germany right there. The Chancellor, sorry. The Chancellor of Germany.
Military is the number one in the
which sounds a lot more German.
World by far. And we are, everything's big in my book. Venezuela is big. This is big. The original hit.
See what I told you about? We don't have to worry about it not working. The concern I have is our military is so big that almost everything will work temporarily. It's, and he's not going to be around for the blowback. The rest of us are going to live with that shit. Oh, thanks. I didn't think I was.
Midnight Hammer was big. Everything you view is big, but it says.
Oh yes. Sorry. I'm fingers crossed for in the primate for our dear friend Major Ojeda.
It's not considered very big by some standards, by some of our standards. We have a military like no other military that's ever been built.
Right, which is exactly why it's an issue of. Oh yeah, everybody should refresh their page on YouTube if it's being glitchy. They get very mad at me for saying these things. The deep state.
Mr. President, what's the worst case scenario that you have planned for in Iran?
Okay, but like he doesn't really answer any questions anyways. I'm sure you've seen some of this shit. I would rather jump to funnier stuff of the sort of dumbasses who don't know. You know what? I take it back. I was about to say who don't know how they should respond to this. That are in the middle of everything and blah, blah, blah. That are, the fence sitters. But we need somebody who's decisive, who will tell us the truth and damn the torpedoes full speed ahead. And that's why, oh shit. Well, never mind. We just got Tim Pool then. The war Iran just got worse. The war Iran just got worse. I mean, I understand how writing the war in Iran just got worse because you've already written one capital I and you're ahead of yourself. You're excited. The war Iran just got worse. Okay? So don't forget. This is the war Iran just got worse. Let's go. Tim Drool, come on. Dimpool, you can do it. The war Iran just got worse. Tell me about it.
Pray, my friends, that this is not the beginnings of World War III.
Okay. Dear Lord, thank you for these blessings and bounties we're about to receive, and I apologize that the only prayer I know is grace, and I'm hungry. But I have received earthly messages from one of your blessed servants who doesn't actually believe in you, doesn't go to church, and certainly doesn't wear any emblems that reflect his faith at all, like you're supposed to do if you're even in the goddamn club. Thank you, Caroline Levitt. But he has instructed me to pray that we're not slow walking or speed walking or even prancercising into World War III. So this is me doing that. Amen. Pass the mashed potatoes. Okay.
And I know for some time, many people have loved to say that phrase, World War III. I mean,
yeah, like you.
I myself have put it in many a title on one of my videos.
Right, because you're a bullshit artist and your show is clickbait followed by lukewarm blather.
But what we are witnessing now in Iran may very well be
There actually is a wolf this time. I swear to fucking God.
Something substantially greater than just an incursion, a campaign, a military strike. Most of you, of course, know the biggest news in several decades. The U.S. has launched strikes on Iran, killing its supreme leader, wiping out much of its government. But
What? When did this happen? That was a hell of a nap. Tell me, Tim.
Fighting rages on.
Well, apparently it is fighting. It's back and forth because it looks like Iran is kicking some ass and naking some tames.
Oh, of course. Iran isn't necessarily on its own the biggest threat to the United States. It, of course, does pose a threat to the U.S. in the region. They have funded attacks on U.S. troops. They have armed militia groups. And they have basically, let's just say, spread instability in the region.
Okay, yeah, let's just say that. Spread instability. Did everybody say it? Okay,
Jim,
good.
They are now...
Yes, this is... We've gone from weapons of mass destruction to weapons of instability spreading.
Closing the Strait of Hormuz.
I don't know why we didn't go to war sooner. Well, probably because it's hard to hold up a little glass vial of instability.
Unjustly and attacking civilian tankers trying to transport goods and oil. They have threatened the Red Sea. Certainly, Iran has been
with fishing
regional problem. But the issue goes beyond this. The invasion of Venezuela. Now, Israel launching ground strikes with troops into Lebanon. It is expanding. It is.
Yeah, well, again, for the record, Hezbollah fired into Israel first in this round of things. I mean, I don't want to get into a tit for tat, but they didn't just do it abstractly. Hezbollah launched shit in to Israel right after the attack on Iran because, they're buddies. So that's not... lobbying is doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
Much more than Iran. And the invasion, the attack on Venezuela, the capture of Maduro is 100% related to what is going on right now in Iran. The question...
Yes, Trump is desperate to cover the Epstein files, thinks war is a great way to trick people into voting for one party. It worked for George Bush, he thinks, against John Kerry. So he's like, people won't want to change a horse midstream, so they're worried that the Democrats will stop the legacy of Donald Trump. He's counting on that. And again, the Epstein files are a thing, and also he's in the Epstein files.
Then becomes, do the BRICS nations stand by?
Yeah, Venezuela wasn't one of the BRICS. Okay.
Will China let this happen?
So far, yeah.
Part of me says they probably will.
Because there is no real BRICS nation alliance. It's a failed financial scheme based on crypto that collapsed probably 2 years ago, at least.
And this signals the United States, let's just call it empirical power, is back.
Imperial power. Empirical is by the... fuck me. By the numbers. It's numeric. Empirical, by numerical standards. Imperial expression of that power in the colonization of other places. Empirical. You know what? Fuck it. Just call it what you want.
The question is, will China let it happen? Because
how do they stop it? I guess I would ask the first question, if China didn't want it to happen, how could they stop it?
If the U.S. is successful in its operation in Iran, U.S. global dominance is reaffirmed. And this means a lot. It certainly does. The one thing I'll say is American standard of living, gonna go straight up. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like the war and are mad about it, but we can talk about economics, the petrodollar, the liberal economic order, all of these plans.
No, I don't think you can. I think you're just a couple of missing elements besides the logical capabilities and the intellectual capacity is that you're also dumb and that these are wholly unrelated. And maybe, you know what it is? I get it. The real alliance that Iran has is with Russia, both in supplying them with Shahed drones to attack the Ukrainians, and then of course Russia's reliance on them as a conduit to stir up shit in the Middle East to keep America busy. And there's a chance that this might scuttle that ability, and you can't exactly bring up Russia when you took so much money from them. So better to hit China, I guess. Maybe maybe I'm selling you short. Maybe you're getting Chinese money now.
And we'll start here from the beginning. And that's
because if we get to what's currently happening, it gets too complex and you can't process it. So better to go back when man took rock and hit together with shiny rock, make fire. Let's go back to the beginning and get to the bottom of it.
I'm going to break down exactly why we are in this war, and I will start in.
Let me guess. What Tucker said plus China?
No. Let me just, in no unclear terms.
Uncertain is the word you're looking for. No uncertain terms. they're just going to, oh, we'll just let unclear slide for now.
I do not
understand math. Sorry.
Do not support U.S. strikes on Iran. However,
what'd I say? Thank God we got somebody to finally just lay down the boot. Tell us, man. Draw that line on the sidewalk in a relatively but partially unclear way.
I am also not a staunch anti-interventionist, libertarian, or leftist, or pro.
No, you're a power fence sitter. Yes, we understand.
Islamic. My attitude is largely, we have a bad track record on strikes in the Middle East in this capacity. Toppling the Iranian government may play out like the last time we did the same thing or with any other government and prove to create further instability in the region.
Well, again, the last time we did it technically in that region was Iraq, and it's been relatively stable for a very long time. The problem, again, in these situations is not that it won't work, it's that it will. And then that will build the hubris towards increasing activities like this, which eventually will have a stacked blowback fuckhead.
It can potentially, nay, it is likely to, in my opinion, get worse.
Again, yeah. And?
That being said,
be careful not to use could so strongly.
I am not someone who thinks there is never a time for intervention.
No, I've read the Bible. A time for peace, a time for regime change, a time for chips, and also a time for dips. I don't know how the song goes, but yeah.
I am typically an anti-intervention. And
you are typically an anti-intervention. Well, where have you been? Because apparently we've needed an anti-intervention and we didn't have one. Ist? Possibly? I thought you weren't going to use any unclear words.
Time for intervention.
Certainly clear of some of the letters that would have made it make sense.
I am typically an anti-intervention. And the argument as presented, I've stated it already.
Okay, I don't understand that sentence at all, honestly.
Where we are now is that it appears the moves made against Venezuela have not sparked a massive detriment thus far. The moves on Iran may very well soon.
Yeah, they're wholly different or whatever, but it's the ego of a successful attack that's driving Trump to go, one of these has got to make me look, if I'm not going to get the Peace Prize, let's go the other way. Whatever covers the Epstein files.
But there are questions about...
You can't throw a Nobel Peace Prize winner into jail for what he did with Jeffrey Epstein, even if they were 13 years old and coerced and beaten. You know, that's what he was counting on. Now he's like, you can't throw me in jail for that shit. I've got to kill some people on your behalf.
Whether or not we should not.
Yeah, we know you're being a coward, yeah.
Questions about whether or not Iran actually was producing nuclear weapons.
Right, and they weren't. I mean, I'm sure they were trying to enrich stuff, but the idea that they were producing a weapon, again, is a stretch, and certainly there was time to work this out and get inspectors in again. But we had that before, and again, I don't know how you make a deal with a guy who killed the last deal.
And I will say this.
Oh, boy.
Iran's government was very bad.
Oh, man. Way to go out on a limb, dude. We applaud you. He speaks truth to power, this one. What bad. I don't like him. Unless I'm supposed to. I don't like him. But maybe no.
It will be a good thing if they are completely dismantled.
Okay, well then I guess it was a plus. All right, sure. Because, you dismantle it, fuck them. Whatever happens after that is better than having it.
And new.
So basically you're a Lindsey Grahamite.
Secular government, or let's just call it reasonable, stable government forms that isn't seeking to destabilize the region. That will be a very good thing.
Or be destabilized again themselves, I suppose, is the concern.
Ultimately, there are questions. Are the actions being taken by the U.S. going to produce stability or instability?
Well, right now, instability is the purpose. And the kind of fuck it attitude doesn't point to producing stability at all. So it's either we got two choices: stability, or I don't know. You might get it, you might not. Those are your two options.
Will we get an excess of collateral damage and civilian deaths? Will any of that?
What constitutes excess? What are acceptable losses on civilian deaths, dummy?
Be worth it? These are questions that I find it very, very difficult to answer.
Thank God we tuned in.
But right now we are seeing a general split. Most people are opposed to the strikes on Iran. Of course they are. Right now we don't know what the aftermath will be.
Yes, very few people have the power to tell the future. Except I think Tucker Carlson knows someone because they also cast spells, I guess.
And it seems increasingly likely there will be boots on the ground. And what does that mean?
That means soldiers and troops in country in a war-like setting. It's an analogy for not just doing airstrikes and missile strikes from the sea, I think. Unless you know something I don't.
It means things are going to get more expensive. They're going to get worse for Americans. We're going to see a bunch of fake news in the media. We've already lost 6 U.S. servicemen and women's.
How do you know? Maybe it's fake news. You probably heard about it on the news, so.
Lives in this conflict.
So sorry, do you think the Trump administration is going to hide the other deaths that happen, or they already are?
Ultimately, questions about why did it come to this?
Because Donald Trump is a fucking failed businessman and a flim-flam artist and a game show host who's in way over his head and is all over the Epstein files, and the stuff they're holding back is so violent, grotesque, and awful, it will decimate his legacy and probably make him end up in jail as the primary co-conspirator, protecting all the other co-conspirators from being prosecuted through his choice of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and his control over the DOJ, and that rather than experience that, he'd rather drag us into a war because he thinks it protects him. I'm just spitballing. Stop me if it seems reasonable.
And I'm going to say it to you, my friends. I'm going to say it. I have no fear, and I will state what is true.
Wow. What a man.
It is moral and just to remove the government of Iran.
Great. Cool. Does the means matter?
Fact. However.
There's a moral however.
Morality does not mean you should.
Sure. Yeah. That's exactly where we are.
There's something called Pyrrhic victory. My point is that the Iranian government is bad.
Great. Thank you. I'm glad we reestablished
Most
that.
people recognize that. Even many of these straight up anti-war people are like, well, of course. The question is, are we just making more bad than good?
Yeah.
If a new, even worse government comes in, what?
Right. Yeah, that's why we have a civilian government that oversees our military, for example, to keep us from getting dragged into shit like this. And it's why, everybody at least pretended to give a fuck about this stuff on the right after the Iraq War.
What would the point have been? These are questions posed by many leaders going back several presidents. Now, many people have criticized Barack Obama for his pallets full of cash and the nuclear deal.
Yeah, but that's because they're stupid.
The argument made by Obama and the Democrats was, what comes after this government will be worse. And we cannot sustain a ground invasion to occupy this country. Iran is not a desert country like Iraq or Afghanistan. It is a mountainous, developed nation. They have weapons. Mm-hmm. They have...
Yeah, we've seen the special. So I listen to Iranian heavy metal, so I get you.
What is it, 80, 90 million people?
93, approximately.
This is not going to be a simple go in and occupy a nation build. And to be honest, we didn't have success with that either. But let's start here with the news, and then I'm going to break down for you why it happened. And by all means, you can argue it should not.
It happened because Donald Trump wanted it to.
And you can.
Sorry. Oh, we're going to throw to Tara. Tara doesn't. Oh, she's streaming on her YouTube channel. Okay. She up? Okay. Because I can throw to her. Is that what we're doing when I'm done? Because I'm a little over, obviously.
Argue that it should have. I know people on both sides Most Americans typically are opposed to this. So I'll stress it again. I was asked by the Wall Street Journal the other day. I was sick, but got on the phone for a few minutes as it was.
Yeah, they needed somebody who was desperately weakly in the middle to kind of represent people who are actually taking a wait-and-see attitude instead of somebody who has no mental capacity to actually process the details.
I was mostly better yesterday, but my throat was kind of fried, and so I could talk a little bit like this. Just coughing. Now that I am no longer subdued by convalescence, let me explain to all of you that I think for many people, our view of this is that we have post-intervention stress disorder. We are a generation that grew up watching the failures of Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, some might actually argue that Iraq was a success. It's just they don't want to admit what the plan was. Get rid of Saddam, regardless of the instability, build a bunch of military bases, and basically surround Iran. And Afghanistan was a failure almost...
Which means it largely was successful.
Entirely because of Biden's, what I would view as intentional destruction of the withdrawal set forth by Donald Trump.
How do you have a destruction of a withdrawal? The destruction of a withdrawal would be staying in. Also, destruction of a withdrawal is not an actual thing.
But we have been...
Again, sorry, is the idea that Biden fucked up the withdrawal so much that the American people want us to go back into Afghanistan? What does that mean? How do you fuck up leaving? Well, here's how you fuck up leaving. Like Donald Trump, you run on it, and then you punt. You don't do it. Days pass, weeks pass, years pass, and you just go, fuck it. Let it be somebody else's problem, because when we get out of here, it's going to be ugly.
Traumatized, as it were. We do not see success going back 50, even maybe 70 years. So why should we support more of the same when we are asking for...
Because Trump is doing it this time. It's totally different.
We're securing our borders.
Pete Hegseth is in charge, and he's not burdened by knowledge.
Protecting our country, bringing back our manufacturing base. Well, there are questions.
He has a Sun Tzu coloring book, and it's unfinished.
Here's the story from the Daily Mail. Iran launches attack on largest U.S. base in the Middle East and warns Trump the gates of hell will open.
I love how hell is a place. It's in the... You don't have to censor the word hell.
The Islamic regime's army said Tuesday its forces were launching attacks on Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, which holds up to 10,000 troops and serves as a major forward headquarters for U.S. Central Command. The destructive combat drones of the enemy's ground, air, and naval forces targeted the military areas of the Zionist regime in the occupied territories and the bases of American forces at Al Udeid, Qatar, Iran said in a statement. The
Fabulous.
war has rapidly engulfed the entire Middle East, with Iran launching hundreds of drones at Israel, America's Arab allies, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the UAE, and U.S. bases in the region. Trump hit out at reports today that the U.S. is running out of anti-drone missiles, claiming America has unlimited mid to upper tier weaponry. The president said that Iran's
mid to upper tier
military and leadership is gone, adding that they are requesting to talk too late, Trump wrote on Truth Social. So the reason why the United States went into Venezuela and captured Maduro was to control oil prices before a strike on Iran.
Great. Yeah, that's terrific. That's what I was hoping. I think a lot of us were hoping we'd have 2 wars for oil again. Gee, it's like Donald Trump is just the fucking second coming of Bush.
Trump has been playing not 4D chess, just regular old chess. And so it's actually...
Not even that. Stickball? I don't know.
Quite simple. We wanted strikes on Iran.
We've been bobbing for apples.
We wanted to remove the Iranian government. This is largely due to the petrodollar system and putting them in line with the liberal economic order.
Sorry, do we have a naphtha dollar for all the plastics that are made with oil and that's traded in U.S. dollars that's arguably just as large a market as the oil market these days? Do we have a rice dollar for the trade we do in rice, or a soy dollar for all the soy that we trade in?
American hegemonic power. The problem, Venezuela controls way too much oil. I believe more than any single source on the planet.
No, they have the biggest resources, but it's thick tar And there's a bunch of like Southern American oil refineries that were built specifically for it. And then they got kind of shut out of the market. So this is sort of revenge for that business.
And they're selling this to the benefit of the BRICS nations, even though it is our oil industry assets that were seized.
Yeah, it's not ours. We don't nationalize our oil companies. These are private oil companies. If they make a deal in another country and they get fucked on that deal, it's their fault and their problem.
I believe this is now 17 years ago.
Yeah. So it's revenge for something that happened 17 fucking years ago.
They seized our oil assets and are using that to fuel and fund our enemies. So Trump went in and said, we got to remove Maduro. That way we get access to massive amounts of energy, oil, so that when we move on Iran, and they attack the Strait of Hormuz, we do not see rapid instability. The Strait of Hormuz is this small little, I believe it's about 3 miles wide stretch of water. Iran said they will blow anybody up who tries to move through it. That's 20% of the U.S. oil and gas.
No. No, it's 20% of the world's oil and gas that come through the other countries, and which they can truck across land, but it's a big fucking pain in the ass. It's not where we get our oil. That's again, you could argue it's 80% of China's oil right now.
20%, a ridiculous amount that Iran is threatening and has been threatening for some time. So let's talk about, my friends, the moral justifications for what we are seeing.
Yeah, we can't let the prices go up, a whole point, which they're going to do anyways. And this is great cover.
Now, of course, for the longest time, we've been hearing that Iran is killing its own citizens.
Right, because they do.
Some estimates upwards of 40,000. I'm going to tell you right away, I don't believe it.
So Trump's a liar. Okay, well, all right. Look, I'll take a win.
And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but war propaganda is war propaganda. And at a time of war and conflict, when a government is trying to justify attacks on a foreign nation, you're going to get stories like this. I'm not saying it's completely false. I'm just saying, okay, I get it. But is Iran really going to kill 40,000 of its own people?
Yeah. It's not even their highest fucking number, dummy.
What I would say is I've seen enough video to know that they are killing their own people.
All right, good. You weren't able to do a head count? Jesus Christ. Does this dude just sit on a fucking fence post all day? At some point, you just got to admit you enjoy it.
The question is, are we looking at the majority, the minority, and these are challenges we face? Understand that in...
That was a non sequitur. What?
These foreign countries, like in North Korea, in China, in Iran, they are showing videos of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. They are showing suppression of Black Lives Matter. And the view of many of the pro-Iranian civilians and pro-Chinese civilians is that the U.S. violently suppresses in the exact same way.
Yeah, but they also are internally aware of what they're up against. They're not like, samey same. You're a child.
That being said, we haven't killed 40,000 people.
Right, and they're aware that they live in those countries, so they're aware of the oppression that they face.
And I do believe that Iran has killed many of its people. I do.
Great, cool, excellent. Just a fucking coin toss. How many? What an asshole.
I don't know if it's 40,000, but who am I? Fog of war and all that. I'm just generally distrustful. Even it's going to be the
United War propaganda is not an aspect of fog of war.
States. Well, that being said, Iran is striking civilian targets now. We have seen hotels get bombed. We have seen apartments get bombed. Iran seems to just be firing indiscriminately.
So so you're only confused that they would do this to their own people who are turning internally against the regime, but it makes sense to you that maybe it's fog of war propaganda that these bombs are coming from Iran.
For the purpose of, we're going to shock and awe. We want, the thing about...
Why? By being shockingly stupid or missing so much that, like, our military goes, aw, look at them flailing about.
What Iran is doing. There's let me cite, to the chagrin of all the anti-Trekkies, a great Star Trek episode about the Ansata.
Also, who's an anti-Trekkie?
And let me just stress this. These are written to address moral philosophies. The Federation challenges a terrorist saying you're a coward for striking civilians, and the man responds, I am fighting the only war I can fight. This is a very important thing to understand when it comes to war.
What? Why? Sorry, the only war I fight, I just war. It's just what I do, and I have to kill civilians if there aren't any soldiers around. What's the moral message to draw from that? Oh, I know, he's a murderous psychopath. Who is this Commander Bundy of the good ship Yellow Volkswagen?
Iran was always going to attack civilians, and we know it because they don't have the capability to actually hinder military capabilities. And so, like any desperate criminal, kidnapper or otherwise, they take hostages, and they're holding the region hostage. If you try to stop us, we bomb civilians. That's what they're saying. Now, don't get me wrong. People are saying the U.S. is also bombing civilians, Tim. Indeed, the U.S. does bomb civilians. Largely, however, the U.S.'s targets have been military targets. Civilians are collateral damage. Let's just pause for a second and criticize Barack Obama because that's not always been the case. Barack Obama, famously, shooting up weddings. Military...
Fuck you, dude. He had rules of engagement after that, specifically because there was an assumption that they were on, and I'm not quite sure which individual moment he was citing during the entirety of the Iraq War that was still going on by and large. But Trump removed those rules of engagement, and more civilians were killed in the first year of his last term than in the entire 8 years of Obama.
Age males being called combatants because they're the right age. Right. The U.S. is not completely innocent, but Iran is directly targeting civilian areas because they're hoping to create public pressure against operations against Iran. They want people in these areas to be terrified and say it's not worth it. Cost-benefit analysis.
Oh, God, this is so dumb. I don't know.
Iran's military strategy is we will carpet bomb. I mean, they don't really have the capabilities, but...
Right. We'll do shit we can't do.
We will drone...
And people will go, oh, yeah.
Strike and bomb civilians and make the cost so extreme
that you'll want to nuke our whole fucking country together.
You might reconsider your actions.
Or you might use the, the F-22s, I think, or whatever. What's the highest planes that we've given to Saudi Arabia? We gave them a bunch of those. And the arms we've given you to protect your oil fields on Iran because they're striking civilian infrastructure. What are you talking about?
Well, this is why Donald Trump said I'm going to flatten them. And to be completely honest, I just really respect the masculinity of it all.
Because you lack it yourself and it just looks great from a distance if you squint.
I do. I really do. Guys, again, I got to go.
Yeah, so, sorry. It's a stupid plan that's going to fail, create more problems, but you like the bravado of it because it comes from Mushroom Dick.
Go to Star Trek because it's the best show ever made. And, well, not anymore, but I posted this earlier. And, you know, it's funny. I think I posted it before the war started. Ignore all the sci-fi stuff, guys. Calm down. You know, it's so silly. People are like, it's sci-fi. I don't like it. Like, take it for its elements. An enemy two enemy warships approach. Let's just go U.S.
Oh my God! Fuck this. I can't. Like this. I'm always shocked that shit can get dumber. And it can. Bigger than Iran. Trump's real goal with the Iran strikes was not the Ayatollah. Whoop, who's this? Maybe this is where Dim got his idea?
I have prayed all weekend that I could serve you in the way that would be helpful.
Oh my God. Maybe read?
And I am trying really hard
to do this without pointing out the fact that Donald Trump launched this and nobody made him. To figure out what the fuck's going on from the gibberish you're hearing from him, the State Department, everybody
not tell you what to think because
you don't know what to think and you can't.
This is war and people are going to die and some of our own people will die.
It's not war. It's a military action. That's why he doesn't have to ask Congress, according to them.
And this could go horribly. This could go great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks.
Could cause terror strikes in our own country that would be
Probably will.
horrific.
Or might be lame. Who knows? It depends on their capacity.
And you cannot make your decision based on somebody else's opinion.
Why do you have a show on the air? Sorry, you're not trying to influence opinions? What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay.
This, by the way, how dare you? How dare you have a fucking show like this and go, don't listen to people who try to tell you what things are like, and especially if they write books like The Great Reset to tell you how things are. Get the fuck out of here.
You have to do what I did this weekend.
Eat an entire tray of potatoes au gratin yourself and spend the rest of the weekend on the shitter.
And stop listening to everybody else.
Yes. And whatever you do, don't read.
And start looking at your principles. I am somebody who does not like these endless wars.
That's a principle. I don't like them. I don't like them. It's the color schemes. I don't like that. Is that a principle would be I'm against that, or I'm for that, or I have principles that it has to meet certain criteria before I'm for it, or certain criteria, or without those I'm against it. That would be principled. I don't like that. It's not a principle, shithead.
Absolutely against these endless wars. So how could I be for this one if I am? I am.
Well, then, yeah, that you can't use the word absolutely if you're for this one. Shit. God damn it. Trapped by absolutely again. I gotta stop using that fucking word when I'm dealing with Donald Trump and having to carry his fucking balls around in my hat all the time.
Absolutely wanting to get out of the Middle East. So how?
Absolutely wanting to get out of the Middle East.
Could you possibly be for this one?
Right, yeah, you can't. This is definitely getting into the Middle East.
I don't want to nation build. So how could you possibly be for this one?
Right, yeah. Well, in your defense, right now, there is no plan to nation build, just nation destroy. So I think you're safe on that one, you know. Except for that whole boots on the ground. We're not worried about boots on the ground thing.
I worry about the people in Sudan. So why aren't we in Sudan?
Hey, exactly. I'll tell you why, because there's no Jews on either side of it. And so it's hard to justify, you know, there's nobody protests. Nobody gives a goddamn.
All of these things, okay? And we have to make sure that
I love how all of a sudden Trump is like attacking Iran because he wants to in a war of choice. And now Glenn's like, but what about Sudan?
answered all of those questions. So I tried to give you...
This is literally the first time I've heard him bring it up. He might have before, but I've never seen it. All of a sudden...
the framework on how I was looking at that. Just not to convince you, but just so you can think about it yourself. So you can decide. You must be the person that makes the decision.
No. First of all, what the fuck you what idea do you have that you make decisions for other people anyways? Even if they listen to you and they agree to it, that's still their own choice. Even if they like, I'm going to listen to whatever he says and just repeat it. That's still the choice to absorb and regurgitate, fuckhead.
Opinion must be yours. Nobody.
Because, goddamn. Yay! Major has the most votes. 42.3 with 50% of the vote in. Oh, he's way ahead. Right on. The next, you know what? The next time he's on, we're gonna have the official candidate. I bet. That's super exciting. Oh, it's fucking great. Okay.
Else's, okay. So what I came to in conclusion this weekend was...
I hate these people. I'm so annoyed at just the fucking... They just can't criticize Trump at base. They can't do it. Even Tucker Carlson, who's wholly fucking against it, still manages to tap dance around, well, poor Trump, he didn't know what he was doing, and he still doesn't, and he never will. We didn't attack Iran under fucking Biden, did we? There was an attempt, actually, to jumpstart a new peace deal with the assumption that Trump's gone, so we won't scuttle it. You can trust us.
Because I can celebrate that so far very few Americans have been hurt.
Sorry, you're celebrating that few have been hurt? I think you could celebrate when none. Few sucks. I don't think, I think we move past celebration, you fucking clown. God damn.
Or killed. And I can also mourn them.
Great. Cool. You've got the whole toolbox of emotions there. It's amazing. Isn't it amazing?
I can also acknowledge the stunning capability of the U.S. military. I can...
yeah. Who can't?
Feel genuine hope for the Iranian women and the dissidents, the homosexuals.
Could you? Yeah, really? That's a rough one for you to go. I got to tell you, when shit gets serious, they all start sounding like Democrats. I can't help
that have been thrown off rooftops.
Well, those are dead already. You'd want to be hopeful for the ones that would have been, I think.
By this administration.
Sorry, you're hopeful that the ones have been thrown off rooftops are going to what? Land on an awning?
The children, the girls under 9, many multiples. Everybody talks about the kids that U.S. accidentally bombed in a school.
That was an Israeli strike.
And they thought, and that is a horrible, horrible, horrible tragedy.
Yeah. Which was probably could have been avoided with a little more planning.
But why are you not looking at the many multiples of girls who are married to old men in Iran at the age of 9, 10, or 11, and their lives are completely destroyed?
Well, I would say that's a cultural thing versus because those girls can be saved later, can maybe grow up, leave the country, get help, that kind of stuff. But the girls in the girls' school that were blown up are fucking dead. I don't know. A living person who's damaged has more hope than a corpse.
Why don't you care about those girls?
We do, but, I'm not quite sure how bombing a country helps them. Because it's a cultural thing and it's not a mandate from the fucking Ayatollah.
Now, that can't be the only reason you say we can go, but it is a real reason. But
okay, sure. We're bombing because the whole place is run by a bunch of pedophiles. Great. Now do Trump and the Epstein files, you weirdo. By the way, it's probably not a good idea during Trump's, Operation Epstein distraction to bring up pedophilia and old men with young girls, considering the 3 missing 302s that are in there about Donald Trump sexually assaulting a girl the FBI interviewed.
It can't be the only reason. Otherwise, we'd be in Sudan and every place else.
We'd be in West Palm Beach.
I can
now
feel this hope.
Trump would have to bomb himself.
And at the same time, I can simultaneously say, I don't have any idea how this ends.
Well, congratulations. You might as well be in the State Department.
But I believe this is just
the beginning.
But is that the end of the story?
There's a story here?
No.
All right. Yeah, I didn't think there was.
No, because if you're only making this about Iran, you're only seeing a small picture. The thing that people don't
Sorry, we're attacking Iran because we got to get at China somehow.
Understand with Donald Trump is he is a big vision guy. Look, you don't.
Oh, my God. Yes, and in his big vision, he has seen the photos and videos of him in the Epstein files, and he'll do anything to keep them hidden.
You don't build what he has built. He
didn't build it.
Empire builder.
No, he's from the Empire State that has the Empire State Building in it, but he didn't build an empire. It's a family business and it failed. It turned into a branding exercise.
Okay, a businessman. He builds empires.
No, he doesn't. He just creates LLCs as as basically like crab claws he can jettison if they rot.
You don't have that kind of vision and then look at everything as a one-off.
You're right. So what you're saying is get ready. This is an imperialist government, and you're excited about that. What the ever-loving fuck.
And in 2020, when he lost, he had time to go out to the wilderness.
Ha! No, he didn't. He had to go to court.
And he reimagined what he was facing and then also what the country is facing.
So he came back after running as the pro-peace president for the second time and decided, okay, next time I'm just really going to bullshit everybody and just gather all the money I can, feather my fucking nest, create a crypto scheme that I can work with the Saudis and the Qataris and the royal families of the world, and I'll just, just fuck them. I'm just going to make everything, I'm going to put my name on everything like an asshole.
So his vision is enormous.
No, it isn't. His ego is, because he's a desperate mushroom-dicked twerp.
So you can look at Iran and you can say, okay, well, that's causing terror in the Middle East. And, oh, well, that's why we're doing it because of Israel. Is it? Is it? Is it?
According to Tucker, it is.
Or is he also trying to get us out of the Middle East, and that's why he's making all these peace deals there?
He's not. He's breaking peace deals.
And this, if it works,
well, that's a big if.
Could help bring and stabilize the Middle East even more and
or
make the Middle East rely on themselves. Exactly what he's asking the Germans and the French and the Italians and everybody else to do.
Sorry, he's Europeizing the Middle East? Good luck.
In NATO, we're not going to be there for you.
Yes. We're going it alone because that's a great business plan.
We cannot afford to do it. Middle East, we cannot afford to do this. We're not going to be there for you. You must police your own neighborhoods.
But before we leave, we're just going to kill everybody who looks at us sideways, in case they're crooks. We'll police it one last time, really big.
Out leaving a vacuum. You saw what happened when we just left Afghanistan.
Yeah, it went back to the Taliban, and so what?
That's what vacuums do.
Yeah, it's not a terror hub. They're at war with Pakistan. It leveled back to its same shitty state it was in before.
So he is trying to get out of these places without leaving a vacuum and building a framework for it to fall into that they can run. Okay? That's just one part of it.
It's not even a part.
The other part is crinks. There used to be the Axis and Allies powers, and the Axis powers were Germany and Japan and Italy and all those that fought for, the Axis powers of Hitler, okay? That Axis is now called CRINK, and CRINK, C, China, R, Russia, I, Iran, and NK, North Korea. CRINK, okay?
Yes, it's like Bricks Crink, Crixelbrink. Glitzelflim.
And that is this
Crink. Jesus Christ.
Authoritarian group of states.
Sorry, I thought you're on Russia's side in the Ukraine thing.
And scholars and strategists and everything else
mm-hmm.
that are growing this anti-Western coordination, and they have shared interests. They're not working all in lockstep.
Yeah, that's why they supported Trump specifically as a chaos agent to bring down the United States, which they see as pivotal towards the West and splintering it, which would play into your whole point about fuck you, Europe, we don't need you, and we can't afford it, so we're leaving. That's part of the plan of CRINK.
But they work,
especially the in CRINK,
together. It's not a formal alliance like NATO or the Warsaw Pact, but
or the Axis of Evil.
It is shorthand to understand who is on the opposing side of the West, okay?
Of Western civilization. So why have you been cheerleading them against Ukraine this whole time?
Now,
one would think then that by design they would be against Ukraine. Ukraine would be on the pro-Western civilization side, which apparently, by the way, just in case you haven't looked, is the side of the wall on which you live. And so either you like it here and you want it to continue that way, or you hope you end up on the other side and you're actually an enemy. Combatant. Hi. Excuse me 1 second. My girl needs me. Talk amongst you.
Ethan's here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do dinner. We weren't sure if we were gonna go or get it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go with us somewhere, or do you want to eat on your own, or do you want us to wait for you, or do you?
I don't know. Give me 1 second, and I'm probably another 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, okay. Love you. Food plans. They're trying to decide what dinner is because I'm hanging out with you guys for another 10 minutes or so while we do this. Yes, rinky dink crink. The crinky dink. We're worried about crinky dink the last time I talked to you. Okay, here we go.
Why is this relevant? Because as we look
It isn't.
to Iran in this conflict, what is he doing?
Picking a war with Russia, China, and North Korea at the same time. Great.
Well, by taking out Iran,
Or throwing it into chaos and creating a destabilized, more violent place as a conduit for violence into the region by people who would want to fuck with the area so they can run off of the resources, namely the other rink people.
China loses all of that oil that they must have.
Why would they lose it? They would actually get more. They're buying it from Iran, but they would buy it if it was on the open market anyways, and it would lower the price generally. There's not a sanction against China buying oil, period, shithead. And they're not getting it at a premium from Iran because they're closed off.
Also sending, they're sending tech to Iran, which will help Iran even slave more people. But also,
so they're going to lose that market. So maybe it's a trade-off.
So they are sending supersonic missile technology, and they're working with Iran on that. Okay,
not anymore.
You've got to stop that. So you've hurt Iran with its financial, with its energy, with its oil. Russia.
But you've also hurt China with its oil that it's going to still be able to buy from everybody else. And, all right.
They need the Russian oil for
I'm just saying, Richard looks like he's winning his seat by far. He's running away with it. That's awesome.
Money. They sell their oil. They also work with Iran to get all of that oil to China. But more importantly, with Russia, they build all of Russia's drones. So when you look at the Russian drones, knowing that they're all coming from
Okay, no, they don't. They build the Shahed and they send them to them. They don't build all the rest of them, though. The octocopter style ones are from China. They're sold as agricultural goods and then they're repurposed.
Iran, this takes that out, which helps then the war in Ukraine.
Right, where the good guys in that, by the way, are Ukraine. Which I thought, by the way, everybody in Trump's circle was against, and poor Russia was attacked.
Dugin just said, think of this. Dugin just said, Alexander Dugin, he was called Putin's brain for a while. He just said that
Putin killed his daughter and blamed it on somebody else as a way to, keep him from defecting or splitting.
If Iran falls, Russia falls as well. Now,
well, they're barely standing then. Sorry, you're a country as big as Russia, basically effectively one of the world's superpowers, and you're being propped up by the existence of Iran.
In a way, I hope that's not true because I don't want more destabilization, but I do want the teeth pulled out of that tiger. Okay? So,
well, you can't destabilize a tiger without taking its teeth. You can't make it less of a tiger without doing that. Sorry.
So by hurting Iran, you are also trying to solve that. You don't think he's going to have more leverage? You know that Putin called Trump this weekend and said, hey, let's sit back down at the table and talk about Ukraine?
Sure.
Okay. It's already starting to happen. This guy is like a nuclear chain reaction. He does one thing and all of these other things happen because of that. All these dominoes.
Well, then Bibi Netanyahu is the brains behind this because he was allegedly the one that came up with the strategy and said, let's fucking do it. So sorry. So did Zelensky and Bibi Netanyahu talk according to fucking Tucker or whoever? This is so stupid.
Start to fall. And if you don't, you can disagree with that, but not that that is happening. You can disagree with, I don't think that's the right thing to do, or I don't think it's going to work out, whatever, but you cannot deny that all of these things are connected. Or
Oh, great. So there'll be loose nuclear material from Iran's collapse and actual loose nukes from Russia's collapse as they happen together. Who's going to run off with them? You think China's just going to roll in there and snatch them up? That's literally the best case scenario. Besides us getting them, I guess. That would be the second best scenario.
You're not worth talking to because you're not thinking deeply enough, okay?
He's talking to you, Tim Pool.
Just last week, we found out that India was switching. It's always played this middle ground, hey, I'm friends with Russia. Oh, Russia, I'm friends with the United States. And they've played us back and forth for a long time. Trump just got them to come into our camp. Now, why is that important?
Because there is no other camp. BRICS is a fucking fiction.
Because you've been hearing the dollar is going to fall, and China and Russia and the BRICS nations are trying to
create a magic dollar. All together. These multiple authoritarian and ginormous economies are all going to agree that we'll just peg our magic coin on something.
Create their own currency to
Fuck, this is dumb.
Collapse the American dollar.
That was going to be pegged to the dollar. They were building a stable coin. You know why? Because they can't agree on which of their currencies it would be pegged. And then they would have to worry about the exchange rate amongst their own currencies. So next time China devalues their currency to undermine the BRICS coin, everybody else is pissed off because they get to buy up a bunch of BRICS coin all of a sudden with their cheaper yuan and then raise it and then suffocate everybody else. Sounds brilliant.
Have it stop being the world's reserve currency. Who is the one that started BRICS? It's the I in BRICS, India. They're now on our side.
Is literally meant to be an initial Russia-China crypto alliance. The I isn't in the middle because it's central to the whole thing. It's because it's hard to make an acronym with the one vowel on the outside. What was it going to be? IBRICS?
Plus, you look at...
Try doing CRINK without India being in the middle. Or Iran being in the middle, I guess.
Venezuela. What did he do in Venezuela? What did he just say about Cuba? It looks like Cuba is in so much trouble, they may just say, hey, can we make a deal with the United States?
Yeah, if you suffocate someone, they'll go, please let me breathe. They might bear a grudge that they might take out on you later.
That takes Cuba and Venezuela out of the China and the Russia camp.
Oh my God, this is fucking like this asshole trying to turd polish and turn this into 5D chess.
Are you beginning to see?
Yes, I'm seeing how deluded you fucking are. You think he attacked Iran to kill BRICS?
How this is all connected?
According to Tucker, Israel is leaving the U.S. to join India. That they're their big brother now, not us. What the fuck?
Plus, all of the Iranian terrorist proxies.
Goddamn. Like, this is what it looks like when you can't admit Trump fucked up. And that he doesn't know what he's doing. And that he's doing exactly what he said he wouldn't do. It's that hard for these guys.
These are in Venezuela and Cuba and also on our shores because they're being sent and trained in places like Venezuela. So once you have all of this, then
you can it's so fuzzy you forget that Donald Trump gave the order to attack Iran right now under the premise that they were 2 weeks away from a nuke.
You begin to see the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
And you can come to the conclusion, being anti-war does not mean being anti-strength. We have to be strong.
We've got to have principles, but they've got to be malleable, gooey, sort of squishy principles that can fit in a very tight hole.
Pro-peace does not mean tolerating endless destabilization.
Aren't we doing the We're doing the destabilization. I mean, if you can hate the status quo, but it's stable.
sometimes the most peaceful leader is the one most willing to use force
to kill. I've always said that for a long time. The most Jesus-y person would be a guy who dresses like Jesus, but has a machete and a machine gun, and he's sort of in a Chuck E. Cheese running around for peace, waving the knife and shooting people.
decisively, quickly, force that does not become perpetual, force, again, that takes the air out of people who are your enemies, takes the air out of their lungs, and they go, oh my gosh, don't ever do that again.
Well, they can't because they're dead. In that analogy, you're talking about the basically the air napalm thing that burns all the oxygen out of the air. You can't do it again. They're dead.
Okay?
No, not okay. They're dead.
The test is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
does this shorten conflict or seed the next generation of conflict? And
both and neither.
Only history can. No pundit, no, not me. Nobody else can answer that.
Right, but that doesn't mean when shit happens, you just go, well, ball's rolling, fuck it. And also, you can criticize the action, regardless of the outcome, because it's against your principles to start shit that way and assume that that's the only solution. Hey, it worked. They're fucking dead, right? Without, any means of guaranteeing there. All right. This is such a fucking turd polish. I can't.
They all have their opinions. You don't know what this is going to cause. And I said to the TV all weekend long, neither do you, Jack.
Right. But the consequences, regardless, are so severe, and American lives are being put at risk, and the chance of a sprawl happening from it, you also equally don't know if a deal could have been made. It just would have taken longer. Or if you'd have fucking voted for Harris, we might have actually been able to create a second Iran deal that did this without bloodshed. That's the point. And are you closer to your standards if you figure out a way to do it without bloodshed? Or are you closer to your standards, which I would argue they are, if you're Glenn Beck, if you just go, well, fuck it, some people got to die and it ain't going to be us, so fuck them.
Neither do you.
Shut the fuck. God damn it. This is so weak. Ugh. You don't know what's going to happen, so why are you criticizing what has happened so far? Because it's unconstitutional, it's illegal, it's killing civilians unnecessarily, and there could have been a better solution that didn't require the death of any innocent civilians, and you didn't give it a chance because Captain Short Dick, who you voted for, is just trying to cover for his participation in the Epstein files. And so I guess some civilians have got to die so that he could do it quickly because he's got no patience for real negotiation, or even though he ran as the fucking greatest negotiator ever, and none of them have worked.
Right.
He was only able to negotiate these tariffs because he was lying and didn't have the leverage he said he did. And it was collapsed by the Supreme Court. Now he's got to start over and do it the real way, and he's not going to be able to fucking do it.
Now, our job is to think clearly enough
about why we should support it,
that when history does have the answer, we recognize why.
What? And maybe you'll recognize why people were criticizing it at the time, because they were right. Or that they were wrong, and it was based on other situations where being in where it was wrong, and that was the time, historians will say, that's when the nature of war changed. It was the last time human beings were put into the theater of war by advanced countries, and from that point on, it was drones and fucking robots. And we never saw another flag-draped coffin after that. And even our forward military bases are completely automated at this point. Like, maybe that's the turn. That's what history will talk about. It won't talk about the fucking school full of girls, though.
So after a whole weekend of prayer and study and thought, I came to 4 conclusions.
Oh, my God. 4.
And here they are.
Oh, dear God. Is he going to cry? He is. He's going to fucking cry.
Most importantly,
Most importantly, it's not Trump's fault. He did not do this.
I trust God.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So did the little girls in the school, asshole.
I know one way or another
He's going to find you. He's going to get you.
Going to work out the way he deems it.
Well, are we talking the Old Testament guy? Because that's not good. That's rivers of blood.
That does not mean I take my hands off the steering wheel in my
Well, then I guess you don't trust God.
own life or in our country. It means I trust him.
So God and Trump are one because he was elected the people's conduit to the Lord. So we're just back in some sort of dipshit, pseudo-monarchical nonsense. And this is just like a chip that's in your brain that's followed your family tree through evolution from fucking sharecropping and farming for a royal, and you just you can't live another way. That ultimately your freedom must be bound by fencing.
I remember the 2020 election. If that hadn't have happened, we wouldn't have the president we have today. Like it or not, he's a different man.
Yeah, he's worse. He's vengeful and older. His brain is fucking tapioca. He's got some creepy, seeping rash on his neck that very well just may be his real alien skin poking through, and they didn't cover it with enough makeup. Maybe this orange spray shit has been the only thing that hides his scales from the fucking cameras.
2, we have to search these things out. We have to be led by the Spirit. We have to...
Okay, fuck you. They all default back to God whenever they've made terrible mortal decisions about this. And no, you have a responsibility in this, and this is to look at what has happened and judge it by what it is, that you were lied to by this asshole, and not just find some magical, must be God's plan. Trump lied to me, but it ain't because he's a mortal man. It's because God's taking the wheel, except in my life. I'm rich and I live in a fucking, on a ranch. But, in everybody else's life, they're just, Lord's taking the wheel and stuff, and Trump just made the decision that was given to him by the Lord Almighty. Shut the fuck up.
Use our own brain because
well,
it's required. We have to soul search, but soul search without politics.
Oh my God. Then quit your fucking job. Also, nobody soul searches with politics. Politics is other people. Soul searching are my ethics, I don't feel like this is good.
Is this moral and just?
Or is it morally and justly just-ish? Is it moral-ish?
Is this in our national interest?
No.
Is this America first? What?
Yeah, that seems to be the thing that people are...
Does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean? I know, I've said it's been bullshit for a long time.
And for more reasons than I outlined here, I
outlined
with this, and I came up with, yes, this is America first. Yes.
Because you have to. It's your fucking gig, dummy. You've seen what's happened to Tucker and Megyn Kelly, and you can't afford the dip in funds. You can't have maggots getting mad at you for turning on Der Fuhrer.
This is a just war. That's my conclusion. Your conclusion may be different.
But don't you dare.
And do not take my opinion as gospel.
Oh, there's zero chance of that happening.
Third thing.
Oh, wait, we're only on... That was 2?
This is not Donald Trump of 2016.
Yes, he's much older and much more senile.
This president has made bold moves, beginning with the moving of the embassy to Jerusalem, which
triggered October 7th in argument.
Remember, would set the world on fire.
Which there's a direct line from that to this.
Fully start World War III. That's what they...
Yeah, that's directly what led to October 7th, and then arguably this is about October 7th, and Iran's reaching there. Yeah.
He said, killing of ISIS in less than 4 weeks.
Didn't happen. ISIS-K still exists in northern Afghanistan. It surrounds what would be Bagram. If we were there, our troops would be being killed by those guys all the time. The bomber in Afghanistan who blew up the airport and killed our service members and a bunch of civilians was an ISIS-K fighter who the Taliban let in because they were worried about the brain drain. They still exist. What you mean is the end of the caliphate, but they never give up on the fucking caliphate. And if you create more damage and death there, you actually feed into that. So fuck you, move on.
Best mind said couldn't be done in less than 2 years. Then the
without killing a bunch of civilians. So we just went, fuck are we trying to not kill civilians for?
Killing of
Soleimani,
whatever his name is, what's his name?
Soleimani.
It was going to start World War III again.
Also, no, but this built towards why they were getting a nuclear weapon, why this ratcheted up. You could say, yeah, that was part of the pathway that got us to where we are right now.
Didn't then.
Yeah, it did. How fast does this motherfucker think World War II happened? They said it would be we'd have another World War if we threw Hitler in jail at the end of World War I. You know what I mean?
Strike on the nuke plants in Iran. Start World War III. It didn't. Venezuela can't be done. Look at the results now.
Also, it wasn't that it couldn't be done. Of course it can be done. We could fucking destroy the place. The point is, should we? This guy this is one of the tricks that they keep doing that is pretending could and should are the same fucking argument.
This president has proven to me that he understands peace through strength.
Yes, everlasting peace through strength.
And the best way to defend enemies is with overwhelming force. He has proven to me.
Why would you defend enemies?
That he does not like war, but he will act when he believes it's in the nation's best interest.
Which is a lot.
For me.
Who is stupid.
He has earned my respect enough to give him the benefit of the doubt. Not
Thank you, Bongholia.
A blank check to nation build.
No, it sounds exactly what you're saying. That it is a blank check. You literally think that whatever he's doing must be awesome and is part of God's plan, no matter how you feel about it. That's as blank as checks fucking get.
But instead, to stop the global threat once and for all, give the people of Iran a chance to rule themselves.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Lindsay.
Take on China and Russia and everything else. And
everything else. Just go for World War III. It is the Lord's way.
Give our country a chance for a future. Well,
what kind of future are we talking? Oh, God, the fourth one. Are they all kind of tinged with unfalsifiable religious claims to protect the real world decision-making and lack of logic or sympathy for human life?
While all of this, I believe, is true today, it still may end up in a way that is not to our liking.
Thanks. I would say that's the only conclusion. The other three are excuses.
Which brings me back to point number one.
We got circular reasoning. The greatest example you'll see on a network that only assholes watch. And I don't mean my show. I'm talking about the Blase, goddammit.
I believe in God.
Cool. Excellent. Do you think man has a part to play in his own reality, or everything just...
And all of it is going to end the way it is supposed to end.
Right, but in between now and the end, there's a lot of unnecessary awful that could happen, you do realize? I mean, you're just making the argument for religious suicide at this point, which is fucking bananas. Maybe that's what he's planning. Maybe Glenn Beck's got his own fucking Jonestown planned, and this is exactly how you wind towards that. If you want to track what Jim Jones was saying in the early days, sounds a lot like this shit.
Just do your part.
Do your part. How do you know what that is? If you what? Maybe your part is to not vote for charlatans and rapists. But that didn't occur to you? Maybe your part is to go, oh shit, look in the mirror and go, I've been lied to. I've been a sucker. It isn't about him being a master manipulator. It's that I'm fucking putty in the hands of any kind of homicidal nutcase who's got a thirst for power. Maybe your part to play is some level of introspection, you fucking chump. All right, let's end on a happy note, because I think we can, and I've overstayed my welcome. I understand. That our dear friend Richard Ojeda looks like he has won. Fingers crossed, looking good. Right now he's, let's see. Yeah, 72.5%. Yeah, I mean, he's got it, man. Come on. 75% of the vote basically in. He's got almost 50%. 25 to the next highest is 25%. I mean, come on. This I'm just saying. I'm not, I don't get too far out over my skis over this, but we love Richard as a human being, and I'm very proud of him for doing this, and just I got the respect and love for him I have is just grows all the time, and I'm lucky to have crossed paths with him and had him on the show, and we will continue again, and this is just this is great. Yeah, he's got a 20-point lead minimum right now. Yeah. So, fingers crossed it stays that way. I think so. Do we have a? I was trying to look for like current numbers on this. Let's see. Primary numbers tonight. All right. Allow. There we go. National primaries. There we go. We'll go to North Carolina. House district. They're given to them. North Carolina. Get out of here. I'm trying to look at the graphics on this. See more races. Texas. Tallarico and Crockett is too close to call. But Tallarico is ahead by I mean, it's too early to call for them. Eggers projected to win. Why don't I see this in there? Okay, see more races. I want more races. I don't give a shit about Texas. I want to see more of these. Let's see. Fight for Congress, Senate, House. We'll go to North Carolina. There we go. Let's go to North Carolina. Roy Cooper is projected to win the primary on the Democratic side, and Whatley for there. Let's see. Okay, let's go. View all counties. I don't want just the governor's race. There's a primary tonight. Come on. Where is it? It's just all governor shit. They're covering on MSNBC. Like, I have to scroll down. House results. There we go. North Carolina. Come on. District 1. Come on. Fox on the Republican side. House district results. There we go. Almost there. Ojeda, 79% in. He's at 42.6. It's happening. It's happening. Look at that. Hold on. It took me long enough to dig down in there. You can tell it's one of those districts where people have a hard time making it matter to themselves. But God damn it, there it is. They haven't declared a winner, insofar as I've seen, right? But I don't know. Does it take longer to count in District 9 than it does in District 11? It's the same vote tally. It's just less people. Yeah, we're still. You're looking at the phone version of the same thing. Yeah, 42-6. He's got 15,902. Yeah, these are free and fair elections. I'm excited. I'm going to go watch him win. I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much. It's looking good. Looking good. We got to vote, though. It's got to be a blue wave. Otherwise, it really won't fucking matter. I got to tell you. The issue that we have is a numbers game, kids. It's not about the bluest of the blue. I got to tell you. It's about giving the blues that are already there backup, and it's about giving the ones that come in a broad enough coalition where the best ideas can actually get through and actually make it into legislative form to such a level that they could overwhelm a veto by the president. The major sent something? Hold on. Let's do this. Hooah. Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna text him after this, but I'll let you guys go. Have a great night, and see, we can end on an up note sometimes, even after all this shit. Nothing's gonna change unless we vote blue. Nothing. All the good, people on the Republican side are quitting. So it's either Democrat of any stripe or maggot. These are your choices. Shouldn't be tough. Choose less evil. Thank you guys for the support. Hit the like, share the show. Thank you, patrons. Thank you for the super chats and the memberships today. Greatly appreciate it, you guys. Thank you.